And we're live, and we're only 24 hours and 9 minutes late.
I'm still blaming you for that.
Well, it's not my fault. It's the fault was Skype. I was waiting for you guys to get back to me.
We were all sitting at our computers waiting for the other ones to answer.
Well, I did send you a message at 2 my time, and we were meant to start at 2:30, and apparently you got that at 7:45 last night. So thank you, Skype.
Your time, mind you, your time.
Yeah,
so
my time. Yeah.
It would have been the next day here.
Thank
Good
you,
job,
Skype. It seems that their constant updates have been working well.
Very helpful. It's much improved my Skype experience. I love it when chat sites drop about 70% of my messages. It's fabulous.
Well, at least we're getting the messages. They're just like,
they're like
6 or 8 hours late.
Delay.
Yeah.
Instant messenger my ass.
Well, it's like a game. We can just fill in the blanks ourselves. And,
Instant is such a
it's such a strong word.
It's a subjective thing,
So I think instead of the message going through the undersea cable directly to Canada, it shot out into space to Voyager and then back again. So it went the long way.
It did.
Yeah. So sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. We're here with two of the most wholesome movies ever, as usual.
So movies for kids this week.
We have to stop talking about all these friendly fucking movies. People are gonna get bored. So
yeah, we're too family friendly. These are.
I think these two movies. I think you would agree, aimed at children between say 2 and maybe 7 3/4
ish, maybe
ish,
8.
Yeah.
8-year-olds
that is
a little mature.
That is if you want your kids to grow up to be serial killers. Now, if you don't want your kids to grow up to be serial killers, then probably just for adults.
Yeah, maybe.
So yeah, two interesting movies, both black and white. I came to an interesting conclusion when I was watching this, or an observation. We've all had 2 picks each now, and I noted that 50% of the movies that BMA has picked I've seen, and 50% are brand new. But with you and on, it's 100% brand new movies.
Oh, wonderful! I love hearing that.
I'd never even heard of Eyes of My Mother, which is really disappointing because it's an amazing movie.
Yeah, it really is.
And I was so disappointed that I'd never heard of it before. I've never seen anyone do a review of it before. No one's ever recommended it to me. So that amazed me, considering it's such an amazing movie. I thought there should be more people talking about it.
Truly, it's stunning.
And it's only recent too.
Yeah,
it is fairly recent, and it's directed by a fella named Nicholas Pesce. I think I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. Pesce.
Probably.
No accent over anything. It's his first film.
Wow.
First and only film. He's so new and unknown. Nicholas Pesce does not have his own Wikipedia page even.
Wow.
Yeah.
We should try to get him on and talk to him.
Yeah, that'd be. It's such a good movie. It's so good. We should talk about that one first, since we're already into it.
No, I think we should save it. I think Darling. Yeah. I think Darling's the easier one, and usually we start with the easier one. And I want to save Eyes of My Mother till the end because,
Fair enough.
I think Darling's the appetizer and Eyes of My Mother's the main course.
Darling is an awesome appetizer, though.
It truly is.
It is a good movie. It is a good movie, but I think out of the two, I much prefer Eyes of My Mother. I have to say personally.
Oh yeah, I can see it.
So yeah, 2 black and white movies, 2 recent movies, two movies which are fairly violent. Although Eyes of My Mother, the violence is kind of mainly off screen, which kind of works for it, I think. So Darling, I think the main feature of Darling was its visuals, at least from my perspective.
Definitely.
I thought the story was simplistic, but that's not a criticism. You don't always need an overly complex story.
No,
I-
no,
I think-
very small cast as
I
well.
loved how
Yeah.
I loved how straightforward it is. It made its only sort of little twist at the end all the more satisfying.
Yeah, and I was going to say, if I had a criticism about Darling, I would probably say that not all of the acting was amazing. It was okay.
I thought she was incredible.
No, I said all of the acting. Not, I mean, some of it was good.
It's mostly her, so I assume
That's true. That's true. But there were some little bits where I thought the acting was not great.
sort of a good thing they weren't overly present.
Yeah, but I imagine it's not a very high budget movie.
No, I don't think so.
So I mean, it's not a. I don't want to appear to be overly critical of that. But that's really the only main criticism. I thought the visuals were very well done. As I've mentioned before in previous videos, I like black and white, and I particularly like high contrast between light and dark, and we got lots of that in this.
Yeah, very, very high contrast.
Yeah, things like she's in a white dress walking down a dark corridor. And I think there was a scene later on where it was the opposite, whereas the corridor was light and the light was behind her, so she was in silhouette, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
It's like 2 weeks ago I watched it, but yeah. But yeah, I love the visuals.
They're both stunning. Just I don't even know. I don't even know what to say about, because they're both just beautifully shot.
They are. I've mentioned this a few times now. Darling is really, really reminiscent to the point where it's almost a spiritual successor or a very light remake of Roman Polanski's Repulsion,
Which I haven't seen, and I need to at some point, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to probably talk about it on the show eventually. So
it gives me an excuse to watch it.
Well, yeah, it's shot in very much the same way, and it is a fact that Darling wouldn't exist if Repulsion didn't exist. So, not that that's a bad thing.
Oh no, inspiration.
Yeah, it's just it's very lovingly inspired by Repulsion. Just in its themes, the vague sexual undertones, and Repulsion, they're not really undertones or vague, but here they are.
Kind of.
Yeah, well, kind of, sort of. Until later.
Until later, yeah. Until it becomes blatantly obvious.
Yeah, the film is very short, at only an hour and 15 minutes, with credits, and it's split up into 6 chapters. So, anyway, Bane, what were you saying?
I was just going to say, when I started watching it, the first thing it really reminded me of, and you may disagree with this, but it was Tetsuo the Iron Man.
Yeah, actually, now that you mention that, I love that movie, especially
it is great, isn't it?
There are other films in the Tetsuo series, but the Iron Man is my personal favorite.
Obviously, Tetsuo the Iron Man is a lot more extreme, and the visuals are a lot more grainy.
Absolutely. Just on a base level, I'd say even the editing is certainly similar.
Yeah, the black and white with the high contrast, a lot of the jump cut editing and sound, and that's one thing I want to bring up about Darling too, is its use of sound. I think a lot of low budget movies overdo music. They put music at a constant pace all the way through the movie, and sometimes it's better not to have any music at all and just to have background sounds or no sound. A ticking of a clock or something. You know?
And Darling, the sound editing, the sound engineering is awesome. From the whispering that the protagonist hears. I don't even know. Does she
Yep.
even have a name in the film? I've never actually even thought about
I
that.
don't think so. She's referred
think-
to as her and
Let's-
darling.
And we'll just call her Darling.
Yeah.
Or her.
Maybe
Yeah.
Darling's her name. I don't know.
It could be. But yeah, Tetsuo the Iron Man certainly is a good comparison. Certainly, just with editing and visuals.
Yeah,
I actually
yeah.
found the
Instantly.
sounds made me jump frequently without any visual need.
The whispering constantly throughout. I think the whispering is present through about 40% of the film.
It's unnerving.
Yeah.
Because something interesting I mentioned to you when we watched it the other day is that the voices are all in French right up until the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think, like I said, I think a lot of movies, in particular low budget movies, overdo music. Just you can have parts where there's silence or just one sound or just a couple of sounds to build up tension.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do use music, it should be used. Well, I guess in two ways. One way is just in the background, and you shouldn't even be conscious of it. It's just to build atmosphere. So it should be low level, or it should be part of the scene. Like someone walks into a nightclub or something, and there's loud music playing, which can be part of the story.
Yeah, so not used. I think I know what you're going for. Not sparingly. I think sparingly is the wrong word, but just appropriately instead of constant bombardment. Yeah.
I think they may use it as a crutch a little bit because music universally conveys emotion. So if you don't have the best actors or the best
script or the best lighting or whatever it is,
if you have really good music, you can still convey and get the audience to feel. But overusing it has the opposite effect.
Well, it should be there to add to the atmosphere, not there because. Well, you need music all the way through the movie.
Because you don't really.
No, you don't. And I don't think a lot of, I guess, new directors get that. Because I see a lot of low-budget movies where there's just music right from the start till the end with no break.
Mm-hmm.
And you're wondering why.
It's funny that you mentioned new directors. The older film gets... from my perspective, the more overused music is. As an example, the horror films of the 30s and 40s and 50s and even 60s with the Hammer horror films and Universal. I mentioned horror because I watch a lot of horror, and it actually, next to romance, was the biggest box office draw at the time. Mostly horror films were being made and sold. There's music throughout most of it, and that's one of the reasons I find a lot of older film to be completely unwatchable is the sound engineering.
Well, I think that's
overwhelming.
I think that's a good point, but with each new generation of directors, we should learn and grow. So
not regress.
So
maybe it's an aesthetic that some people enjoy. Maybe we're wrong.
Well, I think in certain films, a lot of music or mostly music throughout can be an aesthetic choice that works.
Mm-hmm.
I think it can work, but usually it ends up being overwhelming and overblown and overused.
You want to know what my biggest pet peeve with music is? When it overpowers dialogue. I think that's the most irritating thing.
Even with films I love, when music overpowers dialogue, it is so annoying. It pulls me right out of a film.
When you have to lean in to hear people talking, and yet
even Jurassic Park has done that.
Yeah.
There is an exception to that rule, though, and that is if someone's in a very
in a bar.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a scene in I think it's Fire Walk with Me where they're in the nightclub and there's two people talking and the music's so loud.
I was just going to mention Twin Peaks.
Subtitles,
Yeah.
But that music adds to the scene. It doesn't take away from it. And that's my point. Music should be there to add. It shouldn't just be there to be there.
Hmm.
which I think Darling does very well. It's
Oh, I
quiet.
think it does it perfectly. Yeah.
It's quiet for most of it. There's a ticking clock here and there, some sharp piano notes, but mostly quiet.
And like I said, the story is very simplistic, and we still haven't gotten to the story, but I'm sure
We're too
will.
busy gushing over how it looks and sounds.
We'll get through the story pretty quickly, I think.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a short
Yeah,
film with a simple story, so yeah, we can just shoot
It's
the
not,
shit
it's,
until then.
it's not your typical haunted house.
But I was going to say, I think a simplistic story is a good way to go with a low budget movie,
Oh yeah.
and then you can, if you're artistic and creative, you can wow people with the visuals and the sound and the overall atmosphere of the movie. And I think if you try to do too much with a low budget, you sometimes end up failing. So I think the simplistic story is a big bonus in this case.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, it certainly is, and the director of Darling is named Mickey Keating. Mickey Keating. Excuse me. This is Darling is his third film.
Okay. Which were the other two?
Well, the only other one I've seen of his is called Pod from the same year, 2015.
Do you know what that's about? It sounds a little bit familiar.
Pod, without giving, it's another film I actually want to talk about down the road. So
okay,
there will be spoilers, but not today.
We didn't actually mention that at the start. By the way, there will be spoilers in case the title hasn't given it away.
Skype's screwed up all of our mojo.
It actually stars the same lady, Lauren Ashley Carter.
She's adorable.
Okay.
It's similar to Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Okay, sounds like it. Yeah, the title.
Yeah, basically, it's about a war veteran who it's actually been 4 years since I've seen it. I saw it online years ago, about 3 years ago, I believe, late at night. And it basically all comes down to a group of people in a house not sure if they are who they are individually to themselves and to each other.
Oh, that's interesting.
And aliens are brought up. If you've ever seen the William Friedkin movie Bug, it's similar to that.
Okay.
Which is about the paranoid schizophrenic patient who is in a hotel room with another individual, and their schizophrenia essentially.
Basically, he gives her schizophrenia.
Yeah, basically, it's the same idea, but it just think of it as Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but set in one house in the middle of nowhere in the snow.
So the Thing meets Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
The Thing meets, yeah. It's really, really well done. Super low budget. That's really all I want to say about that particular movie, to not give too much away now.
Cool. Watch it.
And he's done 3 others besides that. One called Ritual in 2013, which was his first film. He seems to direct exclusively horror.
I think I've seen Ritual.
Ritual from 2013.
It sounds familiar. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I haven't seen it myself, so.
Has he directed anything since Darling?
Yes, 2 films. One called Carnage Park, which I've seen trailers for, it looks like it's about a contract killer.
Interesting.
It seems quite violent. It's. I'd have to watch the trailer again, but it seems like more of a crime drama than a horror film. And Psychopaths, which apparently I want to see that one too. I've seen trailers for, is about. Pardon me, an executed murderer. It's similar to like a Wes Craven film or something from the 80s, right? It's an executed murderer's soul, and he's possessing different bodies.
That's cool.
Okay.
LA.
So he's good at what he does, it sounds like.
It seems like it, yeah. And from what I've been reading, I've been trying to stay away from Wikipedia for that. Most of his films have been pretty well received, so he seems like a really talented guy.
Cool. Darling's definitely a little bit artsy. A little artsy.
I think that's its strength. I like
Yeah.
artsy that's done well.
Yeah, me too.
I like actual artsy and not
Pretentious artsy.
non-artistic people trying to be artsy.
Yeah.
Just by, in other words, copying artsy people, but not
Mhm.
really understanding what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's definitely not Darling, though.
No,
No, I think he has a pretty good understanding of.
it's very, very well done. I would highly recommend it to anybody.
Yeah, he clearly understands the visual aspect and also the sound and the how to create an atmosphere. So yeah, I was quite impressed.
So should we start with plot? Finally?
Yeah, it's, okay. Crazy woman kills people, but it's really ghosts, or is it?
Ooh.
Or is
Ooh.
it?
Oh, so our protagonist, Darling, her,
Of her.
Yeah.
So.
She shows up to caretake an old house, and we get a creepy elderly woman giving her a story that she really shouldn't tell her. Really shouldn't be telling her this. That the previous caretaker had commit suicide from the roof of this older house. And basically, she then leaves her there to her devices, tells her, we need your references to contact us. And that's basically what we're left with. Her alone in this older house. And she
What
wanders.
could go wrong?
Oh, yeah, I mean, come on. It's not haunted or anything. It's
I mean,
fine.
it's not like it's a cabin in the woods or anything. So.
Yeah, it's in the middle of a city. How bad could it really be?
Condo in the city, cabin in the woods.
Yeah, it's no difference. Yeah, it's fine. So she explores the house as you would when you're looking after it. She goes and tries to open a room. She can't get in.
Pours herself a nice stiff vodka first and goes
Scotch.
for a walk. Scotch? Yeah, there you
Scotch. Well, some kind of brown liquor.
go. It's brown liquor. Yes,
It's a classy liquor. It's not vodka. Vodka's for white trash. Come on.
It's my apparent sexism at work. She's a woman, so I assume she's
a white woman. She must be drinking vodka or gin.
Yeah. Anyway, she finds a locked door.
Can't get in it.
Yeah, it seems to be kind of beckoning her. This is when she first encounters the whispering.
Yeah.
Just in the back of her head.
So she makes a call to the homeowner. We can assume it's the homeowner. And she tells her just to stay out of that room. The room doesn't concern you. So typical haunted house fashion. There's a locked room she can't get in. And she goes upstairs. She starts unpacking, and she finds a necklace with an upside down cross.
Ooh, you know what that means.
Oh, totes Satan.
Possible Satan alert.
Defo Satan. So this is the first time we get some flashing visuals, which is common throughout this whole film. She touches it, gets some flashy, sort of flashy.
Some flashy editing.
Yeah, some flashy editing. There we go.
I would be shocked if I turned on the subtitles to the DVD and it didn't say flashing editing in brackets. I would be shocked.
If it didn't say art editing.
Yeah.
The 2-second jump cuts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which are really tastefully done. They're throughout the entire film, but I don't find them overdone.
It's an aesthetic appeal. It really fits within the film.
It's definitely something that can add to the movie or detract from the movie.
Yeah.
It's not overdone.
In a lot of films, those jump cuts, they can really take you out of a film. In this one, it just suits it so perfectly.
Because they're not really flashbacks. It's just sort of jump cuts of her face, and I think it's meant to portray the feeling she gets of unease when she touches it.
But it's also in contrast to the silent parts and the quiet parts. So
because up until now it's been almost silent, except for the clock.
It's the contrast. It's the black and white, just like the visuals. The high contrast. Whereas if you use the jump cuts just anywhere in the movie or all through the movie, There's no contrast. It's just fucking annoying.
Yeah. And
Um,
yeah, you've stated it better than I did. Yeah.
Your jump cuts are annoying, director. Stop it.
Yeah.
fucking annoying.
Sorry, it wasn't harsh enough for you. I apologize.
Yeah, but no, it's the contrast to the silent part. You know, and the music comes on, and we have the quick 2-second jump cuts, and it stands out just like the black and white high contrast. So
Yeah,
I think that's why it works.
It works. I can tell that he thought long and hard about this. He wrote the film too, so
Mm.
it's meticulously engineered to.
It must be his baby.
Well, one of them, I think.
Yeah.
I think so. Like it. Like I said, it just seems meticulously engineered to just be exactly what he wanted it to be.
Are you saying it's his darling?
Oh. I hate you. I hate you so much. All right, so
and then
so
she
any-
goes for a walk.
well, no, upside down cross. I don't think she starts wearing it right away.
No.
And clearly, she's seen those anti-satanic, what's the name, warnings from the 1980s. You know, the ones warning us about heavy metal music and Dungeons and Dragons. Because
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
That's why there's little split interludes of metal music throughout all the flashing too. Yeah, it's just man, kids, if you're listening, don't listen to heavy metal.
yeah, and make sure your crosses are always the right way up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if they're upside down, you're in for a rough night.
Else
Yeah.
you end up getting a job caretaking in a very nice New York townhouse.
Or being a roadie for Ozzy Osbourne, which
Yeah.
would be worse.
That's how you get rabies.
Well, you know, I assume there would be a lot of jump cuts in your mind and your psyche if you were a roadie for Ozzy Osbourne. So,
Yes, for
That's the
all those
acid.
drugs. Yes.
yeah, a lot of organic jump cuts there.
So she actually spends a night there before she goes to the store. I
Okay.
believe. She spends one evening there, and that's when we get the door opening. Which
Oh.
yeah.
Ugh.
It's just the first creepy thing that happens in the house. Her bedroom door swings open and then abruptly slams.
Mhm.
And
I hate it when that happens.
don't you? Yeah, old houses and their weird creaking and slamming of doors and stuff on their own. Fucking ghosts. They have no respect for people's sleep schedules.
Or yeah, you leave your window open on a windy night. So
Hey, stop logic.
probably ghosts. Probably ghosts.
Definitely ghosts. Satan. Totes Satan. That's why the T's upside down.
The tea.
Yes. So she goes and inspects the door. That's all fine. She closes it, and then she notices when she lays back down in the bed that there is a carving of some words behind her bed.
Yeah, Latin
Which-
words or something, followed by
It's
more
not-
whispering.
Yeah, it's a very abrupt and loud piano smash, which makes me jump every time I watch it. Nothing fucking happens. It's just a very loud noise amongst an extraordinarily quiet movie. It freaks me out because it's been all nice and silent until then. Then the next day we get her shopping trip, which I think she was absent-mindedly carrying that necklace with her. I don't know if she was wearing it.
Maybe it was following her.
No, I think she was carrying it as well, just without really
Yeah.
thinking about it, just kind of lovingly stroking it with her thumb, apparently.
Yeah, because I don't think we ever see her. We don't see her wearing it for a while. So I think she was carrying it with her, and she must have dropped it on her way back from the store. And this lovely young gentleman runs up to her and says, Miss, you dropped this. And she proceeds to look at him like he'd raped her.
Clearly, he's part
Yeah.
of the Illuminati, and
She's horrified. And all the acting here. Her acting here.
Her acting is good. This scene actually chills me to the bone. Her face is so convincing.
It helps that she's really sweet and adorable looking. So when we see somebody that looks so sweet and cute and they look so horrified, I think it gives us a guttural reaction we may not have gotten from another actress.
Maybe not. It's the scene that sticks with me more than any other scene in the whole film after watching it now 3 or 4 times, or 2 or 3 anyway.
Yeah.
That one little 3-second cut of her face, that sudden realization that she feels.
Yeah, she recognizes him as having done something clearly pretty awful to her. We get a few flashy, some of those jump cuts here.
Yeah.
Which again, I think he's using to convey her feelings to us of unease.
Well, yeah. It's such an old trick. It's essentially one of the oldest tricks in the book, but it works
very well. It's used so well, and she pulls it off like hats off to her. She does such a good job here.
Yeah.
It makes up for him.
Yeah. He's not so bad. He's just mostly bad.
Some of the acting isn't great, but she carries him. Like he doesn't need to be there. So he leaves because he's obviously freaked out that she's
scared.
Yeah, she's a mental case because he obviously doesn't recognize her. And he's like, okay, weirdo, here's your fucking necklace. I'm going to leave now.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a little bit weirded out. Like, okay.
And she saunters off around the block, drops her groceries, and collapses into a fit. And we get some more of those flashy cuts, and we can see images of what she seems to remember of something rather unpleasant, but it's unclear. It's hard to make out at this point.
No, it's just something that clearly bothers her a great deal.
Yeah, she's a little bit upset.
and once again, that reminded me a bit of Tetsuo with the jumpy cuts and the flashbacks, and something's happened in the past, and things like that.
Yes. Yeah, it's like that. I should mention there are 2 other Tetsuo movies too, and they all use the same editing style, and it's just awesome.
I don't think I've seen the third one, but I know I've seen the second one.
Bullet Man, I think it's called. It's more recent. It's 2009, I think, which is pretty recent considering the other 2. I think
88.
The Iron Man was 88, and then Tetsuo, the second one, Body Hammer, was 92, and then the third one by the same director was 2009. So that's a pretty big jump. Anyway,
yeah,
very off topic, but same editing style, absolutely.
Not off topic. It's in the vein.
Yeah.
So I think the next scene we get is just normal, like her normal day-to-day. She's showering, she's going to bed. And then
she's showering in a bit of a daze.
But yeah, she's actually slowly getting a very glazed over look to her, where she's not all there.
And the whispering.
The whispering is frequent throughout everything, and
which myself as the audience assumes that she is hearing, not just us.
Yeah. You know what I really liked about this movie is there's nothing going on in the background, but it makes you look for stuff. Like I find myself looking behind her constantly because it sets you up for all those cliches, like something in the background of the mirror while she's in the bathroom, but it never comes.
No, it never comes because it doesn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
So, in other words, it's creating the expectation of something. It's creating the atmosphere of you're expecting something to happen.
It certainly makes you feel uneasy without having to do much of anything, which I think is why it's so good.
Yeah, I just imagine him tenting his fingers behind the desk going, well, I haven't really done anything, but...
You're really uncomfortable, aren't you? But we get those really sharp piano sounds, loud and abrupt, all of a sudden now randomly throughout the movie for no reason. Just it's like jump scares without jump scares, and it feels less I don't know, patronizing. I don't know. After several jump scares in a movie, I'm just tired of them.
Well, yeah, jump scares are an easy
Yeah.
thing to do, aren't they? And I think they're overdone. And
I
they're
think
abused,
they
yeah.
have. I think they have their place.
Yeah, but wouldn't you agree that they're overdone and they're often
Yeah.
just a cheap way
Absolutely.
of creating a scare?
Absolutely,
Like
they're
those
used.
30
They are
Go ahead.
used a lot. They are used a lot less now than they were 20 years ago. Like a lot
Mhm.
less. But
those 30-second
they're
videos
almost. Yeah,
where it
jump
goes get
scares.
really close to the screen and then it jump scares you.
Jump
Like,
scares are almost non-existent in horror today, next to the Conjuring series, which is all anybody ever seems to talk about. But
just
they're almost non-existent today. So definitely, it was a problem 20 years ago, and then it got a little bit smarter.
Yeah,
Thankfully.
they got tired. Like I think most directors learned that they were tired. That horse has been beaten to death. This
Yeah.
movie does that without doing that, because it's all sound and just a feeling of unpleasantness.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and it creates an atmosphere of anticipation.
Hmm.
So you're anticipating something's going to happen, or something could happen, or what's in the shadows, or
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that anticipation is definitely a good thing in this case. I think the film treats its audience with respect.
yes, that's
Yeah,
that's
It
what I
does-
meant by patronizing the jump scare.
exactly. Yeah, I definitely, when jump scares are overused, yeah, I certainly agree.
Yeah.
It's bottom of the. I think they have their place and they can be done very well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But for the most part, they overstay their welcome and they're patronizing. They're stupid.
Yeah, they make me feel stupid. They make me feel like, oh, you want to feel scared? Here, boo.
Yeah. Yeah, like everything has to be a jump scare to be scary or frightening, and that is not the case.
No.
and of
'Cause
course you've got the fake jump scare, which it's a cat. It's not the ghost at all. It's just a cat.
Yeah, those
It's a fake out. Yeah.
those annoy me even more.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's often followed up by
You know-
a real fake, a real jump
Yeah.
scare.
You know when I like the fake jump scare, the fake one? When I'm truly not expecting it. Once in a
Yeah.
while, you get a director that understands the fake jump scare where they actually get you.
you know what usually gives it away? The freaking music.
Yeah.
It's all tense and building up, and then there's the cat.
The
Or-
overuse of music.
Yeah. And then the real thing happens after, and you're already sort of like, oh, well, you made me blow my load too soon.
Yeah.
Is that a technical term?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's never good when there's a test screening at like a film festival. If the audience blows their load too soon, you know you fucked up as a director. You're not.
You gotta fix that shit. And
Yeah,
everything.
you're not getting that standing ovation. Not going to happen.
No, you gotta take us right to the end. Come on.
I believe Roger Ebert coined the term. Film made me blow my load far too soon. Even Spielberg, you're a hack now.
No.
And then he died. So the moral of the story here, directors, is don't make the audience blow their load too
Yeah,
soon.
you gotta ease off a little towards the middle, and then for the staying power, right? Anyways, she starts stalking him. She goes back to, I guess, where he told her she dropped it, because she sees him go into a building. She goes back there and follows him to, I guess, his favorite bar, and then hatches up a plan in her totally sane brain to pick him up at the bar. And she gets all gussied up. Meanwhile, the voices are whispering in her head in French still, which I found strange because she clearly doesn't speak French.
I should mention, though, she does go out to the balcony and see the same words scrawled into the balcony.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that bit. Yes.
It looks like she's tempted to jump.
This is where it gets sexual. Actually, she really likes the railing at that balcony.
I suppose so.
I mean, she really likes the railing of that balcony.
I mean, who doesn't really?
I mean, who doesn't love a good railing?
I was thinking balcony, but anyway.
I mean,
We all have our kinks.
So I should mention at this point that the scrawl, the abyssus abyssum invocate or invocat actually does mean something. It is Latin, like I mentioned.
What does it mean?
One misstep leads to another.
Okay.
I looked that up the first time we watched it together, and it.
Oh, okay.
Essentially, what it is one misstep leads to another. That's the only. I guess there are other meanings too, but that's the most prevalent one.
It's just creepy Latin writing on the wall for sake of Satan.
Yeah.
Is that a bad thing when writing just appears on your wall in Latin?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Do you need to move?
I should probably do something about that then.
if you see it being written, then that's a big issue.
Oh, you're really fucked then. Moving's not going to help you.
Yeah.
If you're seeing it manifest, you're in big trouble. Okay, so
she goes to the bar.
And she's very fucking weird. This guy is...
Unlike the rest of the movie.
He's really stupid or really thirsty for pussy. Because if I was talking to a stranger in a bar that was acting the way she was acting, I probably would have ran screaming.
I would just assume that she's going to bite my dick off later or something.
Yeah, something.
Like,
she's very rude, actually. Like, he comes up and offers to buy, can I get you something? And she goes, what? What do you mean?
Well,
he goes, well, we're at a bar, so a drink, I guess.
Yeah, you're a young lady sitting alone at the bar in a small pub. I think it's safe to assume that you're looking for a date.
Yeah. Or your boyfriend's coming, which he mentions.
Yeah, one or the
Your
other.
boyfriend's not going to come, and she goes, oh no, nothing like that. She's really fucking creepy. He's, like I said, he's dumb or thirsty. Like he's going through a really long dry spell.
Dumb and thirsty.
Everything about this exchange, though, watching it is really nerve-wracking because as the audience, you think he's done something to her, pretty egregious. We're led to believe
he has.
Definitely.
He wanted a drink. I mean,
God, that's totally raping her. He rapes her right in front of us in that bar. He tells her she looks very pretty, and oh god, it's ugly. It's an ugly scene. It truly is. So
he didn't get prior permission to talk to us. So obviously,
not written permission anyway.
He was invading her space.
Yeah. So she excuses herself to go to the bathroom, and again, kudos to the actress because she has a meltdown in the bathroom by herself, and I guess
totally unexpected because the character seems so sane. I mean,
so well put together, so normal. Totes not Satan.
Now, come on. We've all had an insane girlfriend who's possessed by Satan at some point.
That's true. That's why I stopped dating women.
Anyway. You're the smart one.
Well, I had a choice. I was blessed with bisexual privileges. Yeah. Unlike you poor straight schmoes.
Well, yeah, and you don't have to expect or just get written permission.
Hey man, you don't know what life was like before I got my dick cut off, so
shut up. That's supposed to just be a rumor. Damn it.
I'm sorry. It was gone before I met you. Calm down.
You're a unique kind of girl, I guess you could say.
Hey, it's not smooth down there. I got them to fix it. They shoved it inside. It's fine.
Oh, is that what that is?
What did you think it was?
Well, not that.
Welcome to the biology section of the review.
My penis is an innie.
Now that's next week. We're doing that movie next week.
Oh shit! Sorry. Yeah, I forgot. Anyways, so she
that
has a little
sounds-
meltdown.
That sounds like the most woke book in elementary school ever.
Oh my god. Oh god! Don't give them ideas. My penis is an innie. Oh god. Followed up by my penis is an outie. Or my vagina is an outie.
There you go.
Anyway, but
She has her meltdown.
we're coming up to the good part. So
We are. She has a meltdown, and then she comes out somewhat composed. Because he goes, "Are you okay?" And she goes, "Why? Don't I look all right?"
Yeah, basically flips her shit.
Yeah. Don't I look okay? And
This poor
You don't-
thirsty guy is just
yeah, he's like, "No, you're fine. You look beautiful." And she goes, "Do you want to go back to my place? It's not far." It's not creepy at all.
and he's thinking, I'm the luckiest guy in the world.
Oh yeah, she's pretty. She's crazy. I might get a quickie out of it. Just never give her my phone number. So he goes back to her wonderful house, and he comes in and goes, "Wow, you live?" Or no, outside. He goes, "You live here?" And she goes, "Yeah, why wouldn't I?"
it's a very lovely townhouse in New York, by the
But
way.
this isn't why we get that reaction from him. He knows that it's haunted.
Yes.
And he's been told all these stories when he was a kid that it's haunted.
Yeah, haven't you heard?
And he goes, "Don't they usually tell you this kind of thing when you buy it, that it's haunted?" And that they used to do satanic rituals in one of the rooms of the house.
And
I wonder which one.
Me too.
commence whispering.
Yes, all the whispering. And
Probably the bathroom. That's probably where they did the satanic rituals.
yeah,
Well,
bathroom. So she offers him a drink. She pours him a drink, and he goes, "I don't normally do this." And she goes, "What? We're just having a drink." And he goes, "Well, I don't normally go home with people." Like,
yeah.
he's gonna regret this choice shortly.
Oh, for long.
Well, actually, for a long time, he survives for a while.
It it takes a while. Yeah.
It takes a while.
Um,
So they're having somewhat of a conversation, and she comes out of the kitchen with a very, very large knife.
Let's just say there was a stabbing, but not the one he was expecting.
Yeah, he didn't
That's
expect to be the recipient.
and I should mention that 90% of this is done all in one take too.
Yeah, yep. She goes into the kitchen, and he's talking away about, normal stuff you would. And she comes back with the knife and just stabs him.
All one take. It's a good 2 minutes and 45 seconds of one take, and it's brilliant. It's awesome.
If I remember correctly, she stabs him in the neck. Is that
No, in
correct?
the gut. In
Oh,
the
in the
gut.
gut.
She keeps talking to him.
Yeah, over and over and over.
Yeah. Well, no, the first one she just leaves in there and wiggles it around a whole bunch. He's still sitting up at this point, and obviously not talking anymore because he's gasping due to being stabbed in the gut. And she's asking him, "What did you think you were gonna do? Did you think you were gonna get to fuck me?" And she calls him a name, which I can't remember off the top of my head.
It doesn't really matter,
Yeah.
but it's the name she thinks he is, basically, or that she remembered at the fateful day in the alley, or on the street, rather.
Yes, and she's asking him all these questions like, "Why did you pick me?" And I think at this point, we realize that he must have raped her at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And she recognized him and is now seeking vengeance.
So hold on a second. Did he actually rape her, or is he an innocent victim and she's projected something onto him? Or
Yeah. You find that out.
Was she raped at all, or is this the ghost projecting it onto her?
This is something that
That's okay.
Anon and I we discovered this upon our second or third viewing the other night. We'll get into that a little bit later, but
Okay. Yep.
Oh wait, no, yeah, you're right. I forgot about that bit again. Fuck.
yeah, a little bit later. Well, we see it early on in the film,
Yeah.
Should I mention the markings on her or no?
Yes, actually, yes.
Yeah, she has.
She self-harms. One of those shower scenes, she's undressing and we see all the scarring along her middle.
And this is before this scene, for sure.
Yes, this is right in the middle of the movie somewhere.
And
I didn't notice it the first time I watched it.
Oh, I missed it. It completely just went over my head, and then.
Yeah. So upon second viewing, we've noticed that in that one scene she's covered in self-harm scars.
So maybe she did, and that's probably important.
Mm-hmm. So she gets on. He falls out of the chair. She gets on top of him. She's still stabbing him and asking him all these questions. She's berating him, basically interrogating him about why he raped her. Mm-hmm. And one of my favorite bits, he looks at her, goes, "Fuck you," and he clocks her.
Right.
Just right in the face.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't he? Because obviously you're not thinking at that point.
No.
And he clocks her like good in the face. And her face, she's just, again, the actress is phenomenal. She's just dazed, and then she goes ballistic. This is when she starts like furiously stabbing the hell out of him.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to black and comes back, and she's leaning up against I think it's just a china cabinet across from his body. And this is one of those very, very well-timed and good jump scares. He starts to breathe, like he gasps for breath. And she proceeds to suffocate him to death. So yeah, he lived for who knows how long this took. Could have been hours. We don't really know. Mm-hmm. But it's still nighttime, so hasn't breached a day, I don't think.
No, I assume it wasn't a very good experience for the thirsty young man, though.
Yeah. Poor fucking guy. Well, we don't think poor fucking guy at this point. He's a pig, so we think.
On first viewing, I would assume a lot of people think that. Yeah.
Well, you should, I think, at this point, because she remembers.
So, I wasn't sure. I've only watched it once, and it was 2 weeks ago. But to be honest, I wasn't sure whether he was guilty or not, because clearly she wasn't acting sane. So I was asking the whole time whether she was projecting this onto this poor innocent guy or whether he was actually guilty or something. Yeah. And considering he didn't seem to recognize her or know what the fuck she was talking about, I thought there's a good possibility that it was all projected onto him. And it seems like a bit of a coincidence that he's the one, if he had raped her, that he's the one that happened to be walking by and pick up her necklace.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
So she proceeds to suffocate him with a garbage bag and then drags him to the bathroom, which the second time we watched it made me laugh a little bit because the actor who plays the guy is probably 260 pounds.
He's at least 220. He's a big dude. So.
He's a big dude. And she's probably 98 pounds wet. Like she's just tiny and dainty. And the actor that he doesn't help her at all. And she drags his lifeless body to the bathroom and into the tub without help from him at all. And it's like it's organic because he's not helping her.
But on second viewing, you take you suspend I like to suspend disbelief upon second or third viewing of a movie. And it was a little bit funny.
Painful for him when she was dragging him into the tub because
you can hear his back feet go slam into the bottom of the tub.
Also, just
his feet.
Your back rolling over a porcelain tub. Think about that full weight.
Yeah.
So she gets him into the tub, and then she starts furiously cleaning the rest of the house where she dragged him, and she closes the door to the bathroom. Oh wait, no, she looks at his wallet. Mm-hmm. She looks at his wallet to make sure that she had the right guy. And his ID said the correct name that she had been calling him. Yeah. So
she just throws it back beside the toilet and
just confirmed it for her that he was the correct person. And she goes up to go to sleep, and we get this gave me super Lynchian vibes. I don't know why. The dead body of him. She's obviously having a nightmare, coming up and raping her with the garbage bag still on. And
well, like a lot of directors of his persuasion, he was definitely inspired by Lynch's work. So
this is one of those points in this movie that feels like super. I feel Lynch there.
Yeah.
And she wakes up and she goes down to check on the body, and it's still in the tub. And I think at this point she decides, okay, I got to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And gets a hammer and a saw, and we get to watch a lot of that.
We do. I should mention though, the scene you're talking about when he opens the door and she sees him for the first time. It's that sound engineering again.
Mm-hmm.
She has a silent scream.
Yeah.
That. Like I have goosebumps thinking about it. Just her face, her delivery.
The actress is so good.
Yeah, and it's that sound engineering. Her scream, it's a full-bodied scream, but we get that strange piano.
Nothing. Sort of.
Kind of strange in the background. Nothing muted. Yeah.
And you can see her whole body straining with this scream. It's everything she's got.
Yeah.
But you don't hear it.
Oh, it's awesome.
It is. So she dismembers his body, puts it into some garbage bags, as you do when you're trying to get rid of a body, and cleans the bathroom. We watch this, and then she goes and takes a bloody shower, a la Psycho. So she comes back down, the phone's ringing, she picks it up, and we get...
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Who is this?
And
sorry, we're carrying over a joke from last episode, so...
we get an awkward conversation between her and the homeowner, who tells her that they contacted the references and says, you know, he's not a reference, he's your doctor. So she then explains to the caretaker that, you know, this doctor told her that she was well enough to go back to work, and that's why he was... I mean, I'm making her sound more sane than she is, but that's sort of what we hear. That it's all okay. I'm okay. He said I was okay. Yeah. And homeowner saying, we just like you to leave. We're not mad. We just would like you to leave. And
yeah, take the body with you and
pack your things and get out. Take the body, leave. Thank you very much. At which point, Darling hangs up the phone, goes back into the bathroom, and there's his wallet still laying where she dropped it. And she picks it up and looks at the ID again, and it's the right name, and then it's the wrong name, and then it's the right name, and it's the wrong name.
Yeah, and it turns out that we, the audience, for sure, instead of just, is she insane? Isn't she about this? We, along with her, realize that she just killed an innocent man. Way to go.
And she does realize it, and there's a wave of obvious guilt. She collapses again in a fit.
I'm sure he's guilty of something, though. I mean, he's a man after all. So
he must have raped another woman. It's okay. She got him for somebody else. And then it shuts off, like a light switch goes off, and all that, everything that made her sort of feeling guilty over killing an innocent man is gone, and she's standing there, glazed-faced, emotionless.
Mm-hmm.
And it lingers there on her for a while before we get the best acting cops in the world.
I should mention, she does what she says to the caretaker who just fired her, or whoever it is, the owner or whoever. She does say, I think I'll become one of your ghost stories now.
Yes.
Before she hangs up the phone.
Yes.
That sounds perfectly sane. I wouldn't be concerned about that at all.
She's fine. It's all good.
Yeah. No, definitely calling the police at that point was definitely an overreaction. They probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, no, she wasn't like oh no, she's totally fine. Don't worry about it. The other girl only committed suicide in there too. It's fine. Don't worry about it. So actually, this is when we get her go. She runs upstairs with the knife and pries open that door, that damn door that's locked.
Oh.
And it has a silhouette of white light around it that's there throughout the entire film. And she finally gets that fucking door open.
And again, her face.
She's such a good actress. She gets that door open, and we don't get to see what's in there. So we get to sort of, I mean, I know Master Nun and I both think that there's just nothing. But I don't know, I mean, when I say nothing, I mean literally nothing, just a big empty void.
Not an empty room, but an empty void.
Yeah, of white. Just nothing.
I don't know. I think it's open to interpretation.
It definitely is.
Absolutely, yes.
Because her reaction to it is horror.
Not what she expected at all.
She just gasps.
If she was expecting anything, no matter how outlandish, it sure as heck wasn't that.
Yeah. she gasps over and over and over again. And then we get more and more banging on the door. Again, from the best cop actors in the world, who
very strange scene.
Yeah, it is, because it's out of place. They just, it's like you wouldn't tell your sidekick cop to shut the fuck up in front of a distressed woman. You just,
well, I mean, you might, but
I mean, you might, but I mean, you know. So she goes up to the roof and dives off.
Mm-hmm.
And the cops discover what's in the bag, and then we're at the end. Now, Bane, did you watch the after credits?
I can't remember. Refresh my memory.
New caretaker.
Oh, yes, I did. Yes, of course.
So there's a new caretaker.
Yeah.
Looks a lot like her, which I found interesting.
Yeah.
And we get the woman
from the beginning, who is a different woman. She's not the black lady anymore.
Yeah, there's a black lady with the cops opening the door for some reason. But I kind of assumed that it was a friend of hers. As a homeowner, if you're having a caretaker, you must not live in the area.
But this woman, I get the woman she calls ma'am. I get the idea that there's something sinister about her. So why would she care?
I think this last scene might very much solidifies that, because she does the same thing.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be telling you this.
Yeah.
Because
it's that classic horror movie ending, that trope.
Yeah.
That works really well in this case.
It does, yeah.
Well, it kind of suggests that it's all supernatural and not all in.
It probably, well, in this case, it certainly is. That's the idea I got from it, anyway.
I think
it certainly is supernatural.
I thought up until that point it was,
all in her head.
Well, it could go either way. We weren't sure, but once you see that end scene, you realize that who knows how many times this has happened, right?
Exactly.
They'd have to be pretty unfucking lucky to constantly be hiring insane chicks who.
Well, I think her insanity was there, but it was a happy accident. The fact that she was already insane a little bit.
Maybe the house or the ghosts or whatever played upon it and increased it. Yeah.
Yeah. So. And I should mention that some people would think that it turning out to be supernatural cheapens the movie. That's kind of a going criticism among modern horror film now. Let's not forget that The Exorcist was made in 1973 and it still holds strong today. So.
Honestly, I find the she was crazy all along thing to be tired. That's tired now.
Yes.
Give me the haunted house. Give it to me. I would like it.
Yeah, I think
we don't have enough.
At this point, I'd rather suspend disbelief and have an actual haunted house than the tired old. She was schizophrenic all along.
Yeah. Because we have enough of that. I think we've had enough of that. I think it's time to get back to, you know.
Well,
Yeah,
I liked the fact that we weren't sure all the way through the movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm glad they went that route, though, and didn't just chalk it up to, oh, she was just crazy all along.
Yeah.
Mm.
Hereditary is another modern horror film that does
Yeah.
that perfectly.
Yep.
Mm.
It didn't shy away from it. Spoilers.
Yeah.
Spoiling the wrong movie, and that's new. Shame on you.
We'll see. I might talk about that eventually.
True. But anyways, so yeah, that was Darling. Oh, I forgot to mention the voices speak to her in English at the end.
What do they say? I can't hear for shit. So
God.
it's okay if you don't know.
I don't actually remember. It's something to the in the note of you something about jumping off that fucking
You
balcony.
told me when we watched it the second time. So
Yeah.
it was something, yeah. But
It's
basically,
something like you can go now. Something like that.
you're free now. Yeah.
Was it in a thick New York accent?
No.
Forget about it.
Hey, you can go now.
Oh my God! Please never do that again.
Is that bad? Was it?
Oh God.
Sorry, I can't do New York accent.
Somebody needs to clip that out for me.
Oh,
I'm gonna use that somewhere. I need a soundboard.
I knew I shouldn't have attempted it.
I need a soundboard now. Just so.
well, 2 people are watching. They should sound off in the comments to see if they actually heard that. And
Oh, that was the best. Oh, it was the best. I'm sorry, I was rude.
oh, come on! It can't be any worse than my interpretation of Billy at the beginning of the last episode.
Well, yeah,
so.
I mean that was pretty good.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
I tried.
it was eerily good. Hello.
Hello, who is that?
I think you have the wrong number. Let me stay on the phone with you for a few more minutes to make sure. Oh.
I should point out that Tetsuo also has a stabbed lover in the stabbed lover's dead body in the bathtub as well.
Well, I mean, why wouldn't you?
Just another connection and a strange phone call. So
Well, I
think that's the end of the connections.
Yeah. So I think we've reached, because we yammered on and on about how beautiful it is at the beginning. So I think I think we're done with Darling. Wonderful movie.
Yeah, I recommend it. Definitely go check it out. I think it's still on Netflix in Canada and the US and probably elsewhere in the world too. So
there you go. Something to do for the evening. Go watch.
Yeah, check it out. It's nice and short, hour and 15 minutes.
Yep. Go watch that and traumatize yourself.
Yeah, it's one for the whole family, obviously.
Oh, this next one's even better.
Yeah. although the next one is full of violence, most of it is off camera, or we only see small snippets of it, which I thought added to it.
I agree. Yeah, me too.
This was a disturbing film.
Yeah, I think I think a lot of movies rely on too much gore, and I'm not saying gore is a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, in certain cases, it's okay, I think, to rely on it if you're the type of film to do it. But I think,
well, with Evil Dead, you're expecting it.
Yeah.
But that's almost comical, though, isn't it?
Well,
not the new one. The new one took itself pretty seriously.
Even if it isn't comical, I think the point you're trying to make, Bane, is that if
it belongs.
Yeah, it belongs. It's not. It doesn't hit you in the face with it. It's not needed.
I thought about this during the week, and I thought it's like back in the 90s with a lot of comedians, right? A lot of comedians used the word fuck simply because it was shocking.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no problem with comedians using the word fuck, and a lot of them were actually quite funny, but not because they used the word fuck, right? But a lot of comedians just went for that shock value.
Yeah.
And that was their whole act. Oh, I'm so outrageous because I used the word fuck, and and that it's not funny. It's just they're just trying to go.
Touched on that. When you overuse something, it loses its luster.
Yeah, and I think it's the same thing with a lot of blood and gore. If the only feature of your movie is it's full of blood and gore, then there's a good chance it's going to be a shit movie.
Actually, the first couple of Saw movies, they're really good, and then I find they just dropped the plot part of those movies so that they could do the practical effects, which are good, but the movies aren't nearly as good.
Well,
yeah, but everyone's seen a ton of blood and gore, so if that's all you have, it's not that, you know, there's no other reason to watch it, though, is it?
Yeah, I mean, I've never been a huge fan of a lot of gore anyway. I can't watch it. If certain stuff, yes, but like if it's got needles or scalpels or anything anything hospital related, I'm probably not gonna. It's probably just gonna make me really uncomfortable.
Well, I'm just thinking of something. It's slightly comedic, but I'm just gonna bring up a modern one that isn't really that great, but just off the top of my head, Cabin Fever from about 10 years ago from Eli Roth. It takes itself it's kind of a comedy in a way, but it takes itself pretty seriously. And basically it's a movie about a flesh-eating virus, but a really nasty one.
Yeah.
So if it didn't show flesh literally being eaten by whatever this virus is, it wouldn't really make sense because it's a horror movie meant to portray this.
If it's integral to the plot, that's
absolutely, it certainly is. And I can have fun and I can appreciate a film that is really violently gory for the sake of being so, but when it's part of the movie itself and integral to the plot, then extreme violence is much better than just extreme violence for just the sake of it.
Oh yeah, I feel like if you've ever read The Hunger Games and then watched the movies, I think the movies failed really harsh on the violence factor. Personally,
they're not violent enough.
Yeah, they should have been. They needed it. It was integral to the plot. It was important that it was violent.
Yeah, that's an adaptation that should have been hard R.
Yeah, it should, or at least like. Yeah, you know what? No, fuck it. It needed to be an R rating. It was. Yeah. I mean, you can't really do a really good job PG-13ing a movie about kids fighting to the death when it was such an important part of the plot.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. But what I was saying is I can have fun watching a gore movie like Hatchet.
Oh yeah, those are fun.
Which it's gory and violent for the sake of gore and violence.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's a good time, but it knows it. It's very tongue in cheek.
Well, I was going to say, listen to how you're describing it. You're describing it as fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Even if you can still have fun, even if it takes itself deathly seriously and it's not funny at all. It's still just a good time for the sake of having it. And then I think there are three aspects to this. There's one where it's integral to the plot, two where it's just a good time, and three where it's just this ridiculous focus on violence and gore for the sake of it with no real direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one movie that did outrageous gore in a serious tone really well was Sweeney Todd. If you like musicals, of course.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely. That was a good adaptation of a stage play and an old story that was done really, really well.
The violence was really integral to the plot, and they didn't shy away from it. It was in your face. It was bloody. It was gory, but it didn't feel silly because it was really meant to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
I always find it strange when I watch a movie and people are being shot and there's no blood. So the other extreme is weird. I think you can have a fantastic movie and it just takes away some of the realism if people are getting shot in the chest and
then they're spewing blood out of the wounds. Like,
speaking of realism, think about a film like Seven or Once Upon a Time in America with no real gunshot wounds.
Oh yeah,
It just how would it work?
Yeah.
You can't portray that kind of energy that
Yeah, you
without-
can't have like blood squirting out of out of a gunshot wound, like projectile squirting out of a gunshot wound without me laughing. It's
but then on the other hand, you have I can't really think of one, but there are plenty. You can have a crime drama or a horror film where it focuses on nothing but blood and guts, and it thinks it's far more intelligent than it actually is.
Hostel.
Yeah, it's trying to be edgy, but it's
Hostel.
Yeah.
Fuck, I hated Hostel.
So I watched Eyes of My Mother twice. The last time I watched it was on Friday, and I got to say the second viewing, I think I found it even more disturbing than the first one.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a beautiful movie. The story's good. It's the way it's shot is beautiful. It's well directed, well acted. But I just found it disturbing.
So it is so unpleasant.
And I enjoyed watching it the second time, but as I was watching it, I thought, as much as I enjoy watching this movie, I think it's going to be a long time before I watch it again.
I said the same thing to him the other day. I was like, I'm not watching this ever again.
Yeah.
Why did I pick this?
Yeah,
I'm not enjoying
we've seen it.
Yeah. I'm not enjoying. This isn't an enjoyable experience. I mean, it's very, very good, but oh god, is it unpleasant?
Yeah.
So
I guess we should get into the plot.
Yeah. So we open on a woman and her daughter, and they're out.
No, we don't.
Don't we? Where do we open?
We see the point of view of a truck driver driving down a road.
Oh God! Yeah. I forget the bookend. Oh, yeah. I'm ashamed of myself.
And I didn't realize until the second viewing about that, because I'd totally forgotten the truck driver and the woman on the road.
And I just forgot it. So
by the time we got to that part later on in the movie, and so when I watched it the second time, I thought, okay, now I get it.
But yeah, you're right. We open on the point of view of a semi-truck driver going down a 2-lane road with a figure of somebody walking down the middle of the street. He pulls up to this individual and honks his horn, and they collapse.
Yeah, they've collapsed. Yeah.
And so he gets out. We stay from the point of view of the truck, not him. And he gets out. We see him rush to their aid. Then we get to the woman and her daughter.
I know we mentioned this at the start, but this is a black and white movie, and it's shot absolutely beautiful all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
There's some really stunning shots because they use night and day really well in this.
They do. It's done. I find a lot of art films, like modern quote unquote art films, they use black and white as an aesthetic choice, like what we were talking about with gore a few minutes ago, just to be edgy.
Yeah, they don't, but they don't use it. They don't use it to its full potential.
Here's the thing about The Eyes of My Mother and Darling. Let's say they were both color, just your average color film, and you plopped it in your Blu-ray player or Netflix or whatever, and you turned down your color all the way on your TV. It wouldn't look the same as it does now, because they were shot properly in black and white with that aesthetic choice in mind as it was being filmed.
Yeah, I was thinking about this as I was watching both movies, and I thought if I were going to make a black and white movie, I'd want to do a lot of planning beforehand. I'd want to think about where I place the light.
Absolutely.
What clothing the actors wear, because a white dress with stands out against a black background.
It really does.
Makeup too. Sorry to interrupt, but as an example, the eye makeup on Darling, I don't know too much about the film, but I do know that her eye makeup was like, I think purple or red throughout the film. It wasn't black, like bright red in real life. So you have to think about these.
You have to use it. you have to use it to your advantage, especially with lighting. When you're filming in black and white, it's far more important than when you're shooting in color, I think.
Yeah, hard shadows and bright light areas, and yeah, you can get some really great effects. You put the light behind the actor, you get the actor in silhouette, and the background's lit up. You put the actor in a white shirt or a white dress, they stand out against a black background. All these things you don't really notice in color.
And I think it can be a lot more difficult. I've never shot a film myself, so I couldn't objectively know this, but I think it would be a lot more difficult to plan and shoot a properly shot black and white film than a color one.
It must be. It must be.
But there are the opposite side of the coin. Look at a film like Suspiria.
Oh yeah, but they're all those vibrant colors.
Yeah, that was also an aesthetic choice that I think is quite difficult to achieve. But yeah, to shoot a proper black and white film is much more than just using black and white film reel or a digital camera set to black and white. There's
you don't film in color and turn it off.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, you just turning. A lot of people think that. A lot of people, they think, oh, just turn your TV color off. Well, no, that's not how it works. There's a recent film I need to touch on. Well, we can get into the politics of it some other time, but Mad Max Fury Road as an example. Or Logan. Logan is an even better example.
Oh God, Logan looks so good in black and white.
Yeah, they shot that film in color, but then they re-edited it. So it is digitally edited, but it's edited properly. So the black and white version of Logan, which is a 2016 film, by the way, looks absolutely stunning. Far better.
I haven't seen the black and white version.
Oh, it's
so
absolutely
good.
amazing. Go and download it, or I think
it's an experience. It's really stunning in black and white.
And Logan, as a mainstream superhero film, I think is pretty damn good. And you get a properly done black and white version of it. Oh, from a director that appreciates black and white, it looks absolutely stunning compared to.
I used to hate black and white. I used to hate it. I used to think I was getting ripped off, But I after watching movies shot in black and white versus movies who just, they don't use it properly. I'm trying to think of something. I can't off the top of my head, but I used to feel ripped off seeing something in black and white. But now it's like, ooh, look how beautiful it's in black and white, and it looks gorgeous.
It can be beautiful if it's done right. It can be beautiful.
It can be flat and boring if it's done wrong too.
Yeah,
I was just about to say I don't like too many grays.
Yeah.
And I guess the one criticism I have of Eyes of My Mother was there were some scenes that looked a bit flat and grey.
Yeah.
Daylight scenes.
Yes.
They looked. The contrast wasn't there for me.
Yeah, and I thought the scene where I know we're jumping ahead with plot a bit, but where she brings the woman back to her place and they're sitting on the couch and they're talking, I thought that was a little grey.
I agree, and I think the reason for that may have been necessity or budget. I'm not sure. There's no information.
Yeah. I think it was just overlit.
That's just it. That's what I was saying. It's the daylight scenes that suffer from it outside, but it's also indoor scenes that are lit. And I think maybe contrary to his intentions or budgetary constraints, who knows? But yeah, anything that is daylight or a well-lit room, it doesn't strike as hard. Yeah. I have the same criticism. Too great.
That's only a minor criticism though. And
it's very minor compared to the entire film. Absolutely.
And the scenes in the barn, right? That's when they got the lighting perfect.
Oh,
you know what it is? There's not a lot of lighting out there. They relied, I think, a lot on natural light, whereas inside they did have electric lights.
Yeah, so you had the deep shadows and the bright areas and the way the actors moved from one to the other, it was perfect.
You know, you mentioned that about the indoor lights being electric, and that's why it looked gray. A lot of black and white films, even in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s and beyond, daylight scenes are shot at night with electric light.
Yeah, because you can control it better.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
who knows? There's so little information on this movie.
Which is a real shame. It's a real shame.
It is a shame. It's to the point where I'm probably going to try to actually get a hold of the director personally and see if I actually can,
I
because
would love to talk to him.
there
about
is
this movie.
no information about him. barely any anyway.
We need to stalk him. I want to pick his brain. Not literally.
Oh, like I said, I was amazed. I've never heard of this movie before.
Well,
I'm amazed. I've never heard anyone recommend it or
Well, us
do
too.
a review of it.
We were just kind of thumbing through Netflix about a year and a half ago and looking.
I picked it out. I was like, oh, look it looks black and white. Let's watch that.
Yeah, it looked good, and I was a little bit skeptical. I mean, with films, sometimes, especially short ones, if you see them on Netflix, often they are shit.
Yeah, I think it has really low ratings on Netflix too.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. It's
black and white, and a lot of people probably think, "Oh, black and white shit."
yeah, they
Probably.
watch the first 5 minutes of it and go, "I don't understand what's going on," and then they just turn it off. So, anyway, yeah, it's a film I kind of ignored at first. I was kind of resistant to watching it for the first little bit, and then we watched it, and like,
Aren't you glad I made you watch it?
that was one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen. Thank you.
In a good way.
In a good way, yes.
Absolutely, yeah, great film.
So should we get back to the plot?
Yes.
Yes. So we open with the truck driver scene, and then we get to a woman and her daughter, and she's looking at a bird's nest with eggs in it, and her mother's sort of talking to her about how they used to do. Oh no, that's after. She pricks her finger on this bird's nest, and we get a glimpse into her, like, sort of, I'd say we get sociopathic tendencies from her right away, because she doesn't react at all. Like, you'd think a little girl would be
At least wince.
yeah, upset, or like even cry a little bit. She's bleeding pretty good, so she pricked her finger pretty hard.
Yeah, the mother warns her not to touch it, doesn't she?
Yeah,
Wasn't it a crown? I thought it was a crown of thorns. Wasn't it a crown of
no,
thorns?
it's a bird's nest. It's a bird's nest. There's eggs in it. So
I don't know why I thought it was a crown of thorns.
because it was a thorny bird's nest.
She was talking about a saint or something, wasn't she?
Yes, maybe that's why.
Maybe
She's
that's
just
why.
telling her stories.
Mm.
And then she goes, "Oh, what did you do?" Because she's got a really bloody finger. And they go inside, and it cuts to a shot of them dissecting a cow's head.
Mhm.
And she was explaining how
As
the
you
mother,
do.
you know,
As you do
well,
with your young 5-year-old daughter.
why wouldn't you? I dissected a cow's eye when I was in elementary school.
I mean, it is the lifestyle they lead. So,
yeah,
you know, they do butcher their own animals, I assume, or
Yeah, and
yeah. So,
but wasn't the mother a doctor back in the old country? So
Yeah. She was explaining to her how they used to test surgery on animals, and then sort of with a little disdain, she was like, "Oh well, they do it on people in this country."
yeah, and then she explains that the human eye is very similar or almost exactly
cow's
the
eye.
same as a cow's eye, and then she takes out it's the cornea, right?
Yeah, the thing that's inside our eyes that reflects light. We actually get to watch this. This is one of the only real gory scenes, if you consider it gore. Of cutting the cow's eye open and showing it to her, and she's very fascinated by it.
I was going to say at this point, I had no idea what year this movie was set in.
Well, there's electricity in the house.
Yeah, and
so-
we see TV a bit later on.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not even quite one of those stereotypical 1950s TVs. So
he has a clicker.
yeah,
He has
No,
a remote.
The father's car looked a bit old. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so
He
I
probably
wasn't
had
exactly-
it since it was new.
Yeah.
yeah, so I
Anyway.
wasn't exactly sure what year it was set, but it's basically on a farm in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. They don't have neighbors. Not that we can see. There's a 2-lane road that leads to and from the house. I don't think we see another house in the area.
No, I don't think it's ever really touched on. No, just kind of.
No, because she has to drive quite a ways to get to the bar later.
Well, yeah, and then she says it's the next town over.
Yeah, so they're pretty isolated in this farmhouse.
And she talks of being lonely later on. So
Yeah.
clearly there's no close neighbors or no one
Well,
checking up on it.
not within a few miles anyway. So yeah.
So we then cut to her playing outside with a doll by herself, and mom's off doing something else in the house. And a lovely young man comes up and starts asking her questions.
Yes, a lovely young man. He didn't look crazy at all.
She doesn't look creepy or fucking weird
No.
at all. And he's asking her, normal questions like, is your dad home? When does he come home? Is he coming home soon?
And he looks like he's selling something. He is carrying like a
little clipboard.
Yeah, clipboard or a stack of like magazines or
I
something.
thought he was a Mormon at first.
Well, yeah, or like an Avon salesman or something. Who knows, right? It actually does legitimately look like he's selling something.
Yeah, it certainly does. And the mom sees him talking to her daughter from the kitchen and comes running out because, I mean, wouldn't you? Your daughter's talking to an adult man.
Yeah,
and they live in the middle of nowhere. There's nobody for miles.
Yeah, so I mean, forgive poor mother for being a little bit panicked.
Yeah, so she comes running out and she's grabbing at her daughter and she goes on, we're not interested in what you're selling.
My husband will be home in any second.
Any minute. Yeah. And he goes, oh, I'm not selling anything. And
do you mind if I make up an excuse to get inside your house?
Would you mind? I don't. Does he ask right away? No, he says, can I come inside?
Yeah.
And she looks at him and he goes, oh, just to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a nice tree over there, mate.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of nowhere. No one's going to watch.
Yeah, you're okay.
She's already suspicious, but I think she's just trying to appease him at this point and stall him until her husband gets home because he is coming home any minute. And
he does. Yeah, she's not lying. Yeah.
So they get into the house and she goes, the bathroom's through the living room on your left. And he starts asking some more questions. Oh, is your husband usually late? Yeah, totally normal, non-invasive questions.
Yeah.
And she goes,
I just need to know why I'm taking a shit. So.
Yeah, she just keeps repeating that the bathroom is through the living room on your left.
Yeah.
And he goes, I think you should show me. And at this point, he pulls out a gun. And I think the audience goes,
that actor's not going to be typecast as crazy at all.
No,
I have to mention though I think he is fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
His little performance. I mean, I also agree. Unfortunately, and fortunately, he's going to be typecast as that if he has any roles in the future.
Actually, all the acting in this movie is really, really good.
Oh,
very, very well done. I don't have any complaints about anybody.
No,
I agree. Yeah.
Oh.
So he says, "I think you should show me the bathroom," and he says to the little girl, "Oh God, what's her name?" We suck at this.
I'm bad at names, so I can't remember. But,
apparently, so are we.
Francisca.
Yeah, so he's calling her Franny. Yes, and he says, Franny, can you come and sit at this table and be very quiet for me?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So she sits down, and he disappears with mom. And then we get a cut to dad coming home. And he comes in and sees her sitting at the kitchen table. And he goes, where's your mother? And she just points. And he goes into the bathroom and Buddy's beating her to death with his gun.
Yeah, we only see like a
A flash.
like a 1 or 2 second.
Yeah.
2 seconds probably too long.
Yeah.
Glance at it. We see him like
smashing at it. We hear that. We hear that the whole time. The
yeah.
smash
We don't even see the mother. We just see him
blood
smashing something with an insane look on his face.
And he
and
is
blood.
laughing hysterically too.
Yeah.
And blood. So much
And it's
blood.
it's so quick. I mean, we see it, but it's so quick that I actually went back and watched it again, thinking, "What the fuck?" You know, I just want to be sure what I saw, right? Because yeah.
So
But that's very effective.
it is.
You know, if he had walked in, we had seen him doing it for 30 seconds or a minute or something, and the mother laying there with her brains beat out. It wouldn't have been as effective.
No, it was shocking.
Yeah, sometimes less is more.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it takes.
It was the perfect amount. Just
the first time I watched it, I was taken aback for a second.
Same here. Yeah.
My
I
God.
was expecting the part of it was I was expecting more. I was expecting that. I was expecting to watch him kill her. Like, of course, we knew he was going to kill her. He was a creepy motherfucker.
Well,
But,
I mean, I'm glad we didn't get it because
it was more effective.
Yeah,
it was more
I
effective
wasn't actually sure if he was going to kill her or rape her or what. So, you know.
nefarious, naughty things.
Yeah.
He was going to do something bad to her, and I expected to get to see that, but we didn't. All we got to see was the end of whatever he did to her. It's unclear what he did to her in that bathroom. There's blood everywhere,
Which the daughter cleans up in a little while.
No, and she does. There's no emotion from her.
Or the father.
Or the father. He is drinking a scotch, watching TV.
Wait. We get his reaction later. To be fair,
Yeah, we do see his reaction
when
later.
he's alone.
Yeah,
so
he breaks down. Yeah,
it's possible he's like
in shock.
In shock. Yeah. So
but we're jumping ahead a bit. We see him dragging out a body, and we assume that the insane killer is dead. At least that's what I assumed.
Oh no, I figured he kept him alive because he dragged him out to the barn.
Well,
I thought he was just hiding the body.
Maybe.
So.
I assumed he was alive. I figured because there was so much movie left. I was like, he's got to be alive. It's gonna continue. Gotta.
Perception, I guess. Yeah.
Exactly. So, anyways, he drags the not creepy man's body out to the barn and leaves it there. And the next shot is her cleaning all the blood out of the bathroom, and Dad sitting on the couch with a scotch watching TV.
Because that's what happens when your wife gets murdered. You sit down and have a drink and watch TV and get your daughter to clean up the blood.
Yeah.
It's perfectly normal.
Oh, yeah. She comes out. She goes, "Do you want something to eat? Are you hungry?"
Yeah, the young girl's not going to grow up with issues at all.
No, they basically just go about their daily lives at this point.
Yeah. I can understand they might be in shock.
Yeah. Well, he definitely is.
Yeah, he definitely is because we see that later on.
Yeah, her non-reaction as a child is very weird because kids don't usually have that embarrassment of showing their emotions. They don't have control over them quite as much as an adult does.
The way the dad reacts to his not being able to move her by himself later comes in the bedroom. Are we at that point? I think we are.
No, not quite.
There's a voice in the background, a whispering when they're watching TV.
Oh no, it's just screaming.
Oh, it's screaming. Well, it's fake. And to be honest, I didn't know.
He's fucking wailing, Franny, from the barn.
I assumed the guy was dead, so I didn't know where that was coming from at first.
Yeah, it is faint because it's far, but he's wailing.
Yeah. But to them, it's faint.
Yeah. So Dad goes.
Is there someone else in the house? Is it like his elderly mother or something upstairs? Because when I first heard it, I thought, "What the fuck's that?" Because like I said, I just assumed that the insane guy had been killed.
Wrong.
I think if most people walked in and saw that, their reaction would be to kill the guy, right?
Maybe Dad thought he was dead. It's possible.
It would be the, that the emotional reaction.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So he grabs his bottle of whiskey and he goes, "I'm gonna go out and deal with this." And he goes out and silences him with the glass bottle. And then we get the next scene, which is him coming in and sitting on her bed, waking her up and going, "I need help with your mother."
And he's very sincere about it too. Like I got it from the tone of his voice that he was actually sorry to bother her.
Yeah, he was.
He really did.
Very morose.
Yeah, that's what I like. It was almost
I wish I could do it by myself. Yeah.
It was almost embarrassed.
Yeah,
that's the tone I got both times I've seen this movie.
So this is one of my favorite shots in this movie because we get the very dark silhouette of the two of them with a wheelbarrow and a shovel and a lantern walking across the field out to where they're going to bury her. It's beautiful, the shot.
Beautiful but creepy.
It's really creepy when you think about, like, how old do you think she is? 6, 7, somewhere in there?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe 5 or 6 or something. I don't know.
So 6 right in the middle.
I don't have kids, so I never get
digging your 6-year-old daughter to help you bury her mother. That's not morbid at all. So we get that whole, and it is about, I'd say, 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Between them walking out, digging the hole, and then the cut back into the house, which this is where we get his reaction, and that's him in the bathtub weeping silently to himself, which tells me he feels a lot. He just doesn't want her to see.
Yeah.
Well, he's still processing it. I mean, it must have been a horrific thing to walk in and see.
You know what?
I mean, your whole life's just changed at that moment, you know.
And this must have happened all at the same. It's all the same day. Like
I have to admit, somehow I've seen this movie twice now. I have missed that both times.
Him weeping in the bathtub?
I have no recollection of that at all.
Oh God.
No, I'm not saying it didn't happen. I just like none.
Yeah, it's a very short scene, probably 4 or 5 seconds. It's not long. It doesn't linger long. That's just probably why you missed it. But he's sitting in the tub by himself crying.
I remember that scene distinctly, but I don't remember the weeping at all.
Yeah.
It's just
it's silent. That might also be why.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
you're not confusing it with the later scene where he's in the bathtub.
Where he's not.
We'll get to that one. He's not crying in that one, that's for sure.
No. Usually I'm very perceptive about that stuff. It's just something I didn't pick up on. That's my bad. It's just.
Yeah, so he is at that. That's the point where we get to see him grieve, but we never. And this, I think, is maybe where it solidified her fucked up everything, because he didn't help her process it normally.
I think he might have just naturally been a sociopath.
Yeah, definitely. But I think
tendencies there.
I didn't think this helped. I think because he didn't.
Oh, it definitely didn't help.
Yeah, he didn't help her process that. He didn't help her feel anything, because she must have been in shock too. That's traumatizing. Because imagine what she must have been hearing.
Well, think about it from a sociopath's point of view, if you can.
Yeah.
Your mother does things for you. Your mother does essentially everything for you, especially when you're that young.
Yeah.
So obviously it was probably a shock to her, even if she is a straight up sociopath, because now there's this element in her life that is not serving her anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there must have been some kind of, at the very least, certainly as we find out later, there is not self-loathing, self-pity. Yeah,
for her. She reacts for herself.
Yeah. So I think she is in shock, as only a sociopath can be.
Yeah.
But I say that I think she might be a sociopath because of what she does next, which we're getting to.
Yeah.
Well, that's the next scene. Actually, it is. She goes out to visit him, I guess.
Creepy guy.
Creepy guy, and creepy guy's just sort of laying there, and she's picking glass out of his face from Dad silencing him the other day, and asking him, why us? And he goes, because you let me in. And it's just a really creepy conversation. And she goes, why do you do it? And he goes, because it feels amazing. So he's a lovely human being.
His delivery too.
And she goes, so you've done this before? And he goes, oh yeah. And this is the point where she breaks out a scalpel and does something to him that we don't see quite yet. We don't see it for.
Well, she does a couple of things to him.
She does a couple of things to him that we.
And one of them's not clear until much later on when she does it to the same thing to someone else.
That's right. I had wondered about that.
Yeah.
What exactly did she remove something or? Yeah. So it was left up in the air.
Which is beautifully done, by the way.
Yeah.
Once again, full marks to the director, and also beautifully shot. I know we keep going on about the black and white and the lighting. And
I knew you would when I picked.
I know, but the barn. I think the barn scenes are the best with the lighting and the light and dark. So
because I think, like I said, it uses natural light. I don't think they do anything. I don't think he did anything. I think it was just the way the lighting was in the barn, without any added extra anything.
Well, if they didn't, they're goddamn geniuses, because that's that's hard to shoot.
Yeah.
So
because you'll notice, like, the scene where she's doing the picking the glass out of his face and stuff, the barn doors open a little bit.
Yeah. True.
Which I think was done just to let more light in.
So the one thing that we find out she does do to him is she removes both his eyes.
Mm-hmm. And she comes and sits next to Dad and goes, he won't make any more noise.
Yeah, and that's because the other thing she did to him was remove his voice box or do something to his voice box.
She severed his vocal cords.
Yeah, not that we see her do that to him, but
I was wondering exactly what she did the first time I saw the movie. It went through my head, and then I left because
I wasn't. As soon as she says he's not going to make any more noise, and then you see the bandage around his neck, you guys couldn't figure that out.
No, I didn't see the bandage around his neck. I was focusing on his eyes.
Oh, you weren't paying attention.
That's what drew the attention.
Yeah.
The fact that I was a little bit freaked that the 6-year-old girl
the 6-year-old
removed his eyes. So I forgive me for missing the bandage around his neck.
No kidding. I mean, I'm sorry if the scene wasn't shocking to you at all.
Well, we see her put the bandages around his neck.
Yes.
Come on, you guys. God. Anyway, so we get the next scene after that is I think this is the same evening, and she asks her dad to dance with her, which is like it's weirdly adorable in the midst of this horror show. And and any little girl has done this probably with her dad, stood on his feet when they're really little.
Before or after removing someone's eyes?
Definitely. Certainly after.
Oh, okay, after. Okay, yeah.
You have to earn it. God. You gotta work for it.
You just have to remember to wash your hands afterwards. That's all. Yeah.
It's sterilized.
After the dancing or the surgery?
Both. So.
Okay. There we go.
Okay, actually, that's interesting. Fad in the chat said if she's 6, she isn't a sociopath. Kids that age are curious. To adults, it can come across as morbid.
She does not seem 6 to me. She's 8 or 9.
Yeah, she's still quite young, but still, she
might even be 10. She doesn't look that young or come across or even speak like she's 6.
But she's also fucked up. Like she's fucked up. There's something wrong with her. She removes his eyes and
I don't know the director's intention or if he even cared, but I would bet money on her being 9 or 10.
Yeah. Actually,
But I mean, either way, I think if you have a child which is removing someone's eyes or
Yes.
torturing animals, you know, that is a warning sign
yeah,
that they might grow up to be a sociopath. So I don't think it's just curiosity.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a little bit more morbid than that.
Yeah, curiosity is like stepping on some bugs or something, right? But if you're cutting open a puppy, that's a little bit
Yeah,
more.
this guy wasn't dead. Just if you haven't been listening, he was alive when she did this
Yeah.
to him.
Well, even if he was dead, it's still, you know.
It would be less upsetting because
I agree. It's
she
still
was
be a little bit
dissecting
of a
cow
concern.
heads with her mother. She was dissecting animals with her mother, so she was already comfortable with the inner workings of a body. So if he was dead, it would have been a lot less morbid than the fact that she did it to him while he was alive.
I agree, but I mean, she clearly sees this living human being as the same as a dead cow's head.
Yeah.
And that is a concern. Even though he's the guy that just killed her mother, right?
exactly.
But she's not doing it for revenge, though. She's doing it just out of curiosity.
Well, no, she actually said to him that I don't have any friends. Why would I kill you?
Yeah. Which
just during that conversation, he says, "Are you going to kill
fucking
me?"
creepy.
Yeah, she goes, "No, you're my only friend."
Yeah, that's just a little creepy, isn't it?
After the dancing scene with Daddy, we get another scene of her running through an open field with a pot, and
yes.
She picks up a dead mouse from this open field, and it cuts to her spoon feeding some substance to the guy,
some kind of
on her lap,
substance. So
who is snorting and drooling and just animalistically eating this. So I imagine she doesn't feed him very often.
And I imagine she's feeding him mice, dead mice.
Yeah, and she's feeding him like roadkill and shit.
Yeah.
She's feeding him droppings.
Hey, have you ever eaten a hot dog?
Hey, assholes and entrails of acceptable animals are okay. As long as they're not assholes and entrails of mice. That take a lot to make a hot dog.
That's lips, assholes, and entrails to you.
Yeah. Also, something before we get into her as an adult here, Master Anon said he got incesty vibes from their relationship, and I was curious if you did too, Bane, because I never did.
Sorry, I was taking a drink then. I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that, and I was looking for it the second time we watched it.
Both times I did. I don't know why. It was icky.
Is it just because she's so fucking creepy?
Maybe.
Or was it because doesn't
maybe her mannerisms? Maybe like
the daughter sleeps in the bed with him, doesn't she? But yeah. I mean, that's not a huge surprise after.
Oh yeah, after mom dies,
being killed. Yeah,
she moves into the bed with him. Yeah, but they're like he sleeps facing away from her.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never. But twice, both times, still you got that weird incesty feeling from.
No, I don't think I saw anything like that. I think maybe the first time I watched it, I thought, I wonder what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
Between them, but you know,
I mean, she's definitely weird with him. Like when she's older, there's weirdness there, but.
Because I assumed it was mainly going to be those two characters for the rest of the movie, and I was wrong.
So
I was wondering where their relationship might go, but I didn't think it was incesty. He didn't seem that type of guy.
No, he just seemed like an average dude.
Yeah, whose
wife died.
Brutally, he walked in.
Yeah.
And saw it happening and then had a really hard time dealing with the emotions. And I kind of felt sorry for him. Because, he clearly wasn't processing it in any positive way.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Even with the creepy vibes I got, I still kind of felt sorry for him. I just
We
definitely
did.
got a no feeling a little bit more from him. I guess you guys did, but
Well, we did see him grieve, and I think that's part of why maybe Bane and I aren't picking up the same thing you are, because you missed
maybe
that.
not.
You missed him when he was crying to himself in the tub, right? So that, yeah.
No, I definitely didn't get an Uncle Bully. Vibe from him.
Yeah.
You've seen that movie.
Oh, no. No, but anybody's uncle.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was referring to a specific movie. I was wondering if you'd seen it.
No, you know what came to my head is somebody posted a meme on Twitter recently that said another my uncle calls anal shh.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's what immediately popped in my head. So thank you for that.
Oh no, Uncle Bully's a character in Once Were Warriors.
Oh dear.
Yeah, great movie, by the way.
I have actually never seen that.
I'm gonna have to add it to my very, very long list.
That was a very shocked gasp. My goodness.
It's a great movie. It's a really great movie.
I have heard of it. I've heard that it's great.
Yeah.
It's something I've wanted to see. So yeah, add it. We'll talk about it.
It's a good example of a well-made, low-budget movie. So yeah, good characters, well acted, well shot.
Right on.
But back to Eyes of My Mother. While Anon's gone for a pee.
Okay.
So there's a time jump, which I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, no, me neither. It was that threw me for a loop the first time. Because it's unclear how long. It's unclear how old the girl is. I assume 9 or 10 or 8 maybe. And then all of a sudden there's this strange time jump that looks like at least a decade. I don't know about you.
Yeah. She would be in the early 20s, I assume, at least.
Yeah, late teens at the very, very least. But
oh no, she's definitely an adult. She gets into a bar.
Oh no, absolutely. I mean,
she got to be over 21.
Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah.
Be over 21. So
and we see this now adult girl sitting on the bed with her very dead father laying on the bed. And I looked at him and I thought,
dead at that point.
Oh, I did. I looked at him and thought, he looks dead.
He's catatonic.
Wow.
She kills him on screen.
Does she?
Yes. She kills him and then fetches the little lesbian.
I know she says she kills her father. How does she kill him?
The tub. He's catatonic, and then she lowers him under the water and drowns him.
Oh, was he alive at that point?
Yeah. There's bubbles, man. There's bubbles.
I like how Bane and I are just completely flabbergasted right now, going, "What the fuck? We should have watched this a third time."
Meanwhile, I've watched it the same amount as both of you.
Wow. Did you pick up that he was still alive at that point?
No, sir, I didn't. But I mean,
that kind of makes sense now. But
it certainly makes sense. It makes more sense.
But just the look on his face, he looked dead. I just assumed that.
Well, yeah, he's catatonic. That his mouth is hanging open, but you can see him breathing here and there. But when she says to him, "Why do you have to go? I don't understand why you won't wake up." Because she understands life and death. She wouldn't be saying to him, "Why won't you wake up?"
Oh, you might be if you're, your father's just dead and you've been living secluded.
He's also maybe he was catatonic for a long time, but I'm fairly sure she drowns him in that tub.
Well, I'm a little bit confused now because I thought it was really creepy that she got into the bathtub with her dead father.
That's the vibe I got too. I didn't get the vibe that he was alive at all.
I think
now you're telling me that she killed her catatonic father. I don't know which one of those two things is creepier.
Well, I would think
A little column A, a little column B.
She was still dressing him and looking after him and making sure that he was clean and like then she drowned him because he was catatonic.
Yeah, what you're saying makes sense.
Watch it again. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm fairly sure that she kills him and there's bubbles. Like you can tell that he's still alive at that point because he's not rigor mortis-y.
No, I assumed he just died overnight and she found him.
Oh yeah, I mean, no, but she killed him and she says she did. And she doesn't understand what she did wrong either.
Well, that's why I was wondering when she says, and it's a scene not too far from where we are. She says that I killed my father. I was wondering how she killed her father, but now you've kind of explained that.
yeah,
It makes sense.
I am pretty gosh darn sure he's alive up until that point, and she just realizes like that either she realizes he's never going to come out of the catatonic state that
he's probably had a stroke or something.
Something.
Maybe,
yeah.
Because she definitely drowns him in that tub. Because those are the scenes we get over the next.
Is it wrong that I find both outcomes equally disturbing?
Yeah.
I just
no, that's it. I mean, they are equally disturbing. But she's looking after him in this catatonic state, and then she's going out and still looking after. What should we just call him? Creepy man. We'll just call him.
Yeah, the creep.
The creepo. She goes out and she's brushing his hair and stroking him and feeding him. Yeah. And then she's going into the house and looking after her catatonic father. And then we get the scene in the bathtub where she puts him in the tub and then she gets in with him and then she lowers him in and kills him. And that's when we get her weeping to herself, I can't be alone anymore. I'm so lonely.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And then she begs him to wake up over and over again a little later on.
No, that's before she kills him.
Okay. Is it? Okay.
After she kills him.
There you go. See? Yeah. Wow.
After she kills him in the bathtub, we don't see him again. So I assume
she cuts him up and puts him in the fridge.
Yeah, she either eats him or buries him.
Well, no, immediately after that, we see her get into bed with him. Immediately. In the scene after.
No, I'm pretty sure that the tub is the last time we see him. Does she dress him after that?
Yeah, she puts him in bed and lays down next to him and like sticks her head on his chest like he's her lover or something.
You're right. That's why I was saying I get creepier vibes from her as an adult than I ever did from him when she was a kid.
Creepy incestuous vibes from her. Yeah,
like when she's an adult. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's the point where he's actually dead. But then, yeah, we don't see much of him though. His body does just disappear.
Yeah.
We don't see any indication that he's alive though, do we? We don't see him breathe or apart from the bubbles.
Yeah, well, you can see him breathing.
Okay, I'm gonna have to watch it again. You're gonna make me watch it again.
Could just be just watch that. Those guys.
Are you just fucking with us?
No, I'm dead serious. I am fairly confident that that's the point where she killed him. I think she got tired of him being an inconvenience to her, like having to look after him catatonic, because she's a fucking sociopath, clearly.
Yes.
So, what makes you think that?
Oh, she's totally well-rounded and normal. I mean, actually, I gotta ask: do you at any point feel bad for the creepy guy?
No, personally.
I know you don't.
Maybe on a cathartic basic level, maybe, but
I mean, it's a pretty fucked up life to be chained up for over a decade with your eyes cut out.
I'm not saying he deserved it. I'm just saying I don't feel sorry for him.
I mean, he sort of earned it a little bit.
Yeah, he kind of. But I mean, it's a difficult question because you could argue, why is he like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Was he born that way? Is it a some
Yeah.
brain fucking condition, or
Does he need help?
was he abused to become that? So
yeah. I mean, those things went through my head too during the film. And after.
There is a point like where I actually feel bad for him, and now we'll get to that.
But at the same time, he's a fucking lunatic. So
Yeah.
He was a lunatic that was murdering people that lived out.
It was clearly premeditated for a while. Like,
he was just doing it. He was just doing it. He was just killing people. Their entire families assuming.
Yeah. So
there is a point where I'm like, oh God.
I mean, honestly, I can't say honestly that I don't feel sorry for him on some level. I can't say that because I do.
There's a point like where he's had enough. Like, you know what I mean? He's had enough. Put him out of his misery, kind of thing.
Well, yeah, do that. I mean,
if he rotted in prison for his entire life, I wouldn't feel a tiny bit bad for him. But he had his vocal cords cut out, his eyes cut out, chained up in a fucking barn for 10 years.
Chained up in solitary confinement for 10, 12, or 13, 15 years, right?
We don't
fed mouth guts.
And it fed mice. We don't really put anybody in solitary confinement anymore because of how badly it affects them. Like once you go into solitary confinement, it fucks you up so bad you almost can't recover. They don't really do it anymore.
Yeah.
You might get put in solitary, you're grounded for a few hours, but they don't do it for long stretches of time.
You guys need to watch the original Papillon.
Yeah. I do need to watch that still.
There is some it goes right into solitary.
We spoke about that last time in my method acting drunken stupor. So
but yeah, you definitely see the effects of solitary confinement.
Yeah,
in that movie, and that's based on a true story too.
Yeah,
so.
That's why they don't really do it anymore. So he has been in solitary confinement with only contact with his torturer. We can assume Dad doesn't go and visit him, and
I can say in the heat of the moment in the film, though, while I'm watching the movie, no, I don't feel sorry for him.
Yeah.
When I have time to reflect on it after the film, it's like, oh gosh, that.
Well, if you're relating to the father at all, and I guess the daughter, even though she's obviously a sociopath, then you wouldn't have any sympathy for him because you're viewing him through their eyes, and if you were in their position, you wouldn't have any sympathy for him.
No,
you'd want him to suffer for the rest of his life. But
absolutely, I mean, think about somebody who sees their Jeebus forbid, their family's murderer in a courtroom or something. The thoughts that are probably going through their head.
Yeah.
And what they want to do and what they would be okay with.
I think this is why we don't allow victims.
Well, that's why biblical law isn't a thing in civilized countries.
Well, we don't allow a victim to have say over the punishment of because there's context which we don't have for him. There's a point I start to feel bad.
Absolutely, and I can see that, but during the film, I can suspend my disbelief enough and put myself in this family's shoes, even though she is insane, and say, no, I don't feel sorry for him at all.
Well, I understand why Dad doesn't put a stop to it, because I think maybe Dad's motivation was a revenge thing.
Yeah.
But she's wigged. There's something fucking wrong with her.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, she's a lunatic. She's a fucking lunatic too. Basically, those two were made for each other.
It's that old saying, you need to. I don't know the whole thing anymore, but you need to just make sure you don't become a monster yourself.
Yeah. Anyways,
those that look into the abyss.
Yes.
Be careful, because the abyss will look back into you, or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Nietzsche, I think it was.
Yeah.
So she decides she needs companionship of some sort, and she goes to a bar. And she goes into the bar, and then a little while later, we get her coming back to the house with a young woman.
Just to stop for a second. I have to wonder how much contact she's had with the outside world. I mean, she's living on a farm in the middle of nowhere. There doesn't seem to be any neighbors around. Did she go to school?
No.
Has she had any contact with anyone apart from the guy in the barn and her father?
It's unclear. I mean, I would think that maybe she did go to school.
She has to grocery shop. She must. That farm doesn't produce enough.
That's true.
And she has some kind of inheritance, or well, obviously her father made a lot of money.
She
Or made
knows.
money, rather.
Yeah, she knows where town is.
And she might have even been to the bar a few times.
She knows how to drive.
Yeah.
I would assume dad probably taught her like from home. I would assume while he was
Homeschooled, yeah.
Yeah, she was probably homeschooled and taken to town and
yeah, I got the idea that she might have even brought people home before. Like
I don't know. She seemed a bit
kind of skittish.
her. No, she seemed totally at ease.
No, but it seemed like she hadn't done it before. She didn't really know how to react or act around other people.
Yeah.
I mean, well, maybe not, but she did go to the bar and pick up a chick.
Yeah.
I mean,
good for her.
I mean, there is that.
She picked up a chick on her first try.
I don't think she was nervous when they got back to her place, but she obviously was acting weird.
And her reality is very, very skewed because she does. Oh, I guess we're about at that scene now, right?
Yeah.
she has no qualms about telling her date about what she did.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, which makes me think she hasn't had a lot of contact with the outside world.
No, but I mean, when I say she must have casual contact with the outside world.
I'm sure, yeah. Her dad probably took her grocery shopping.
Interacting with people on like small talk level, no real conversations. But
yeah,
like,
how are you today? Oh, I'm okay. Have a good
that
day.
kind of stuff.
Yeah,
because she obviously she didn't go. She knew where she was going when she left.
Yeah.
She went with a purpose to that bar. So.
Well, yeah, she wanted some companionship. I don't think there was no ill will there. She didn't. I don't think she went to that bar with the intention of murdering somebody.
No. I think she really wanted to.
Basically, what it came down to is
horny.
Well, yeah, she was horny and she wanted to pick somebody up, and she did.
Yeah. So she's having we should talk a little bit about her mannerisms because she's really very, very particular and precise in her movements and the way she speaks.
Yeah, I thought the actress did an amazing job.
She did.
Yeah.
Like we see her eating coming up, and she's incredibly dainty. She touches things with as little of her hands as possible, and she's always sort of wide-eyed,
very ladylike in the tradition.
Yes, and she's always putting her hands together. She's incredibly focused and very feminine. If
very, very feminine, and mannered, and just
that's a good way to describe the way she acts. She's really proper and soft spoken and almost sweet, but because we've seen her, she's creepy. So I can see
she listens really well. She doesn't interrupt. She listens. She looks directly into that lady's eyes.
Yeah.
You know, like she's very attentive.
Yeah.
Like very proper.
It doesn't surprise me at all that she had no problems picking somebody up at a bar. It's actually a characteristic of sociopaths is that they're very charismatic. So
she probably walked straight up to her and said, "You want to come back to my place?"
Maybe.
Yeah. And maybe this young lady was taken aback, basically.
Yeah. Oh, she's confident.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Yeah.
So they're having a conversation, and the Asian lesbian's a little bit awkward, and Franny's very well spoken and
hold on, which one was the Asian lesbian?
Well,
Of all the characters, you forget the Asian lesbian.
I'm
sorry.
pretty sure the Asian lesbian was the Asian lesbian, but I can't be sure.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I hate you both.
That narrows it down a little bit.
Okay. I mean, I think anyway. I don't really remember the movie that well, but I'm pretty sure.
Apparently not either of you. So she picks up a picture of Franny's mother and goes, "Oh, is this your mom? She's beautiful. You know, what did she do?" She keeps trying to get Francesca to engage in conversation, but she's like, "I don't know. I don't really know." And like she just wants her to shut up so she can touch her, basically. Yeah. And so she goes, she was a surgeon. And she goes, "Oh, what happened to her?" And Francesca's really quiet.
Yeah.
And then she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have asked." And she goes, "Oh, well, somebody killed her." And
which is, I mean, that isn't even. I mean, it's weird, but it's not that weird. It's just
the the way she just delivers it so like it's nothing.
Yeah.
And then Asian lesbian asks, "Oh, what happened to your father?" And she goes, "Oh, I killed him."
But this is, don't forget though, when she says that her mother's dead, the young lady does embrace her though.
Oh yeah, she gives her a hug, and she's really confused by that.
Yeah, Francesca is very
she's got her hands like hovering above her back a little bit, and then she gently hugs her back, like, "Oh, this is a strange thing. This is weird. Nobody's ever done this to me before." It's like it's an alien thing, the hug. And then at that point she gains a little confidence and she starts touching her hand.
Yeah.
And Francesca kisses her. And at this point, Asian lesbian's still pretty she's getting uncomfortable, I think. And this is when she goes, "So what happened to your father? Do you live here alone?" And that's when we get the, "Oh, I killed him."
Oh.
And then she's like, "What?" She's very confused because how do you respond to that?
Yeah, and I almost feel sorry for Francisca at this point because she clearly doesn't understand what the problem is.
Yeah, like, I mean, it maybe had she been given context and gone, "Oh, he was catatonic, and so I killed him." I mean, even then, that's fucking weird.
No,
but it's
call an ambulance or something.
It's not quite as morbid as thinking that she murdered her father without any context.
In the bathtub with him.
Yes.
I like how we're trying to rationalize this.
Well, she's almost at a point.
Like, a bath with my father, and then I decided to drown him. So
I got sick of looking after him. I got sick of wiping his ass. So at this point, Asian lesbians got like red flags. Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta call my mother. I gotta get out of here. She picks up the phone. There's no dial tone. So she's panicking and trying to get out. And at this point, I think Francesca's genuinely distressed. She goes, "Oh, let me drive you home. Please don't go. I don't want you to go." Because I think like she really doesn't understand what she's done wrong.
Yeah.
And at some point,
she's just confused by the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, why would someone be upset with the fact that I murdered my father? I mean, it's strange.
He was old. He was going to die anyway.
I mean, it's classic sociopath. She just doesn't get why that's an issue.
And she's really upset that she wants to leave. Like, she looks just hurt, like so hurt, her feelings. And at some point, I guess maybe she just decided, "Oh, okay, well, if she's really not going to stay, I'm just going to kill her."
Well, we don't see that. We see her trying to talk her into staying.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to her cleaning up blood from the floor.
A giant blood stain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, once again, the violence happens off screen, but it's so beautifully done that we know exactly what happened.
Well, we get her taking all of the bags of meat from her body and putting them in the refrigerator.
Yeah, it's
then-
definitely not mice.
Yeah,
And then burning the rest of her body.
yeah.
Which is beautiful. Beautiful shot, by the way.
Well, beautiful. It is beautiful to look at, but
Yeah.
oh my goodness, when you
But-
think about context.
Yeah.
And
It's-
we see her sawing something up at one point.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very dark when she lights this bonfire, so it's very striking from
Yeah, just visually.
yeah, it's stunningly beautiful, but oh
Yeah.
god, it's so creepy.
Logically, wouldn't arouse any suspicion either, because it's,
Sure.
just, it's a bonfire. You're burning
Yeah.
scrap wood or whatever, and
Or you're having a fire because
Yeah.
that's something normal people do.
they just so. And she's clearly at least a few miles from anybody.
Yeah, maybe nobody even would have seen it.
Yeah.
So she decides she's going to go out to her best friend in the world, creepy guy, and bring him in the house and give him a bath. And
And I'm guessing it's the first time he's had a bath in over 10 years.
oh yeah, and he's covered in he's got sores all over his back, which I assume are like bed sores, and because he's been chained up in that barn for at least 10 years. I'd say at least 10 years.
Yeah.
So she brings him in the house and she gives him a nice bath and changes his bandages, then puts him on the bed and rapes him. Which we don't see. We just see her undress in front of him and then put her arms.
She is perpetually horny, apparently.
Yeah. So
I mean, she's an early 20s woman, so that's not really shocking. It's just the way she goes about it is.
it's very meticulous. She's like, I need to fuck something, so I'm gonna just bring him inside. He'll do. Which actually, it makes me wonder if she'd done it before.
Maybe.
Over the years, like if she'd brought him.
I
which
don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't think she brought him in the house before.
You
But-
think she went out to the barn and just randomly fucked him for whatever?
Maybe, because I mean,
Maybe, yeah.
honestly, have you ever been a teenager? But it was, again, you got creepy incesty vibes. Maybe she was fucking her dad up until then.
Maybe. I don't. Yeah. I mean, I was a teenager once, but I do know that I wouldn't go out to a barn, even if it was my own, and fuck an eyeless woman chained to the ceiling. I mean, even when I was 16. But
What about two eyeless women?
well, now you're just getting into fantasy territory. So
Oh God!
no, not not even then.
Oh, discomfort. Anyways,
Are you okay?
no,
Haven't you ever been a teenager?
I deserve this. I asked for it.
You did,
Anyways,
just like he did.
So we're coming up to probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie. It's so beautifully shot.
It really is, and it cuts before we see her rape him, but she undresses. We know what happens. She undresses,
Yeah.
and then it cuts to her laying in bed, and she's reaching over and notices that he's no longer there. And then
wow.
there's another cut up to him on his atrophy. This is the point I feel bad for him. He's outside in the.
Well, you have to talk about the way it's framed, and it's literally framed through a window.
Yeah.
Frame,
And
a window frame.
Yeah, and that's what I said, literally framed through a window.
Yeah.
And we see him running. It's like he's outside, and maybe it's a little bit of a hill or something, and he's in the distance.
But his
And
muscles are atrophied.
yeah, and he's
His
the
knees
way-
are shaking together, like he can barely walk.
yeah,
so
we see him hobbling in the distance, trying to get away in the dark. Blind, stumbling around. But we just see him in the distance. This beautiful shot framed through the window, and it once again an amazing use of light and dark. And then she sees him through the window, and she walks out of shot, and we see her then go into the window frame
Yeah.
and follow him.
She's holding a knife at this point, so it's assumed
Yeah.
she went out through the kitchen, through off the porch towards him, and we don't see her again until she walks into the frame of the window.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's wearing a white dress, so it really stands out with the dark background.
Which was certainly an aesthetic choice.
Oh, definitely.
yeah.
Brilliant.
It's
Brilliant.
beautifully shot, and
Yeah.
and the way that she slowly, walks up behind him.
He hears her.
Yeah,
That's something we see his reaction to hearing her coming. I think this is why
It
I
was
feel
fear. It was fear too. It was
he was
taken aback.
terrified.
He
was terrified of her. This is why I feel bad for him at this point, because as awful of a human being as he was, can I really comfortably say he deserved that for that long?
Yeah, for 10, 12, 15 plus years, this torture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been reduced to that of an infant. His muscles are atrophied. He can't get away from her.
He's insane at this point. His mind is gone. There's
completely. He's completely. That's why I compared him to an infant. He probably, if they fixed him, he probably wouldn't even know how to speak anymore.
Maybe not. It would be such a distant memory. It would take years to come back.
If ever. I think his brain was mush.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have. There would have been like sort of like the guy from Seven.
Yeah, exactly.
That chewed his own tongue off.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just his mind was gelatin. And she gets up to him and embraces him and then starts stabbing him in the back repeatedly over and over.
Or in the side,
and kissing his neck and his shoulders.
And it's really convincing too. Because
it's rather intimate.
It is.
In a creepy way.
It is.
It's very creepy, but she's so genuine.
Yeah. It's like when you have to put a dog down that's really sick. That's what it made me think of.
Yeah, not just the actress, but just looking into the film, the character is so genuine and sweet.
And heartbroken.
About it.
That she has to put down her pet.
Yeah. It's so disturbing.
Yeah, and she's kissing him and caressing him and crying and going, you're right. It does feel amazing.
Ugh.
Actually, that's an interesting point I want to bring up, and it's just a little side note. Most of the movie is in English, but there are the occasional bits which are in, I think, Portuguese.
Yeah,
Portuguese, yeah.
And we have subtitles.
Yeah.
And I noticed that when she was saying that to him, she used the word fantastico.
Yeah.
Which I would imagine would be translated into fantastic. But when I looked at the subtitles, it said amazing.
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting choice. I mean, I know basically they mean the same thing, but
maybe they don't have the word for amazing in Portuguese.
Maybe not. I mean,
it might just mean generally the same thing. So,
but I mean, fantastico should be an easy word to translate into English, right? I mean, fantastic.
Yeah,
virtually the same word.
True. Speaking of the framing shots, I'm actually watching on the TV right now. I have the movie playing. They shot through the front windshield of the truck when she gets to Donna's bar. I know that I'm going back again, but
wait! I gotta say a thing. Fad's watching it, I guess, right now. She says 25 minutes and 40 seconds she drowns her dad in that bathtub.
Oh well.
Okay.
So
there you go. So she didn't get in the bathtub with her dead dad, because
she got in the bathtub and then drowned him.
Yeah, I still don't know which one's creepier, but anyway.
So that means she dressed him to bury him after sleeping with him with his dead body that night.
Huh. Well,
it was an illusion for you two because you didn't pay attention.
Thank you, Nurse Fad. There's your shout out. Thank you.
I knew it. I knew it all along. Anyways, so where are we? So she's killed Creepy Man. And at this point, she goes and digs up her mother's skeleton. and she's cradling it and crying, going, "Mama, I don't know what to do." She's obviously speaking in Portuguese at this point because her and her mother mostly communicated in Portuguese, and I don't know what to do. I can't be alone anymore. I'm so lonely.
And this is something I had to repeat to myself in my own head once while watching the movie. She dug up her mother's skeleton and embraced it.
I think she's done it before.
Are you saying that's strange?
I think she's done that before too. I think that was a regular thing she did. I think she dug up her body to talk to her on a regular basis.
Oh, well, did she really have to dig up her body to do so? I mean, most people just
kneel at the grave, which is normal.
Even atheists just kneel at a grave.
Yeah, it's at least symbolic. Even if you don't believe in an afterlife, there's at least some symbolism to sit at a grave of a loved one and talk to them.
And have a chat with them. But
you can dig up their body. I'm pretty sure they're still there. It's okay. Maybe she can't hear through all that dirt.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
Well, she was just being a good daughter. I mean, that was silly of me. I shouldn't be so insensitive.
Yeah, you're a horrible person.
Yeah.
So then we get a cut to her sort of stumbling through the forest.
Is this before or after she falls asleep in the forest?
Probably. It must be after.
Okay, because she wakes up. She falls asleep in the forest and she wakes up. And I remember that shot with the big black tree. There's a big black tree off to the side.
Yeah.
I thought that was beautifully shot.
It was, yeah.
Just want to mention it being
actually that's
black and white.
It's all the night bugs reflecting the light in that shot. Yeah, we can just gush over how beautiful it is. Meanwhile, it's easily one of the most disturbing movies I've watched in a long time.
It is, but you know it's hard not to gush over how it looks.
It's true. It really is. Okay, if you're faint of heart, maybe just put it on mute and then skip the gory stuff, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, just re-edit it.
I was gonna say, watch it in rewind. That way,
everybody's alive and happy.
Yeah, everyone comes back to life. So
there you go. Okay, that's the way to do it. So, anyways, she stumbles out of the forest onto the street, the 2-lane road, and sees a truck coming, and it picks her up, and it's a single mother and her son, whose name I can't remember.
Antonio.
There we go. And she's making normal conversation with this woman, going,
I'm not crazy.
I'm not crazy. Well, that's the thing. That's a trait of a sociopath. They're very charismatic. And she goes, "Oh, is this your house up here?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, that's my house." And they pull up, and she goes, "Can I hold him? Can I hold him, please?" And she goes, "Well, we really have to go." And she goes, "Please, just for a minute, please." And so the mother reluctantly takes the baby out of his car seat and hands him over. And
poor Antonio.
At this point, she's cradling this baby and saying in Portuguese, "Oh, thank you, Mom. You gave me the best gift of all. You brought me a baby. Thank you. And at this point,
then she runs off with the baby.
She hops out of the car, and Mom immediately is freaking the fuck out because this strange ass woman just ran off with her baby, and she's stuck. This actually hurt me in my.
Oh my god! It just sent chills down my spine.
Yeah, the way she was struggling against the seatbelt.
Yeah.
Because
she reached over first trying to grab her, but she was obviously gone. So
I can only imagine that her struggling with the seatbelt took just 3-4 seconds. It must have felt like a lifetime. Oh my god,
it's painful. I understand maternal instincts, and that whole, like I said, her struggling with the seatbelt just it's heart-wrenching. And then she manages to get in the house, and her baby is screaming.
Yeah,
because I mean, he's a baby. Wow. He's just been woken up. How fucking rude! I'm going to scream now.
That baby is pissed.
Yeah, that baby is pissed. That baby is pissed off.
Yeah.
So baby's screaming. She doesn't know what the fuck's going on, and she's running through this house going, "Oh my fucking god, my baby, give me my baby." And she gets upstairs and sees the baby screaming from this bed up in the attic, and she goes to go and pick him up, and Francesca comes out the side and stabs her in the side. And she collapses on the floor, and she's still crawling towards her baby, who's still screaming.
So what you're saying is it's the old leave the screaming baby in the middle of the bed while I creep up behind you and stab you in the back trick.
It's a trope that works in this.
Is it a trope? Because
it is, yeah,
I
absolutely.
Nearly as much
Leaving bait in the middle of a room or something, and then the killer sneaks up behind. Yeah, it's a trope, but it works in this case. But I need to mention Francisca's absolutely nonchalant approach to stabbing this poor woman in the back.
Her entire mannerisms all the time are very, very feminine and gentle, and like
yeah, she did it so she stabbed this woman so properly
and gently, and it must have been precise in such a way as not to kill her, because
she you know what, she probably knows anatomy really well.
So she stabbed her and she collapsed, and then she picks up the baby and she starts cradling and rocking him, and again thanking her mother for bringing her a baby. And then we get a cut, and we're back in the barn, and she's done her dissection again and removed Mom's eyes and vocal cords. And Mom is very aware. We actually see more of a reaction because we don't see much of a creepy guy.
No.
So I'm getting to it. It's coming.
You know what I'm talking about, right? That moment.
I do. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So she's bandaging up this woman after she's severed her vocal cords and removed her eyes, and she's putting the bandage over her face. And meanwhile, she keeps reaching up and touching her face because I don't think she's completely aware of what's happened to her yet.
No.
And Francesca's like very gently just sort of slapping her hands away. Gently, though, like you would a kid who's trying to touch something they shouldn't touch.
More pushing than slapping.
Yeah, that's better.
Gently pushing, yeah.
Gently pushing her away, brushing her aside, and she puts the bandage over her neck and then pats her on the head and leaves her there. And at this point she tries to scream, and I
actually feel sick to my stomach thinking about that one little scene.
Yeah.
When she screams.
The silent scream again.
Yeah.
That we mentioned in the last movie.
Yeah. Full guttural attempt at screaming, and all we get is sort of bubbles.
Yeah, because that's all she can do.
I imagine that would have been incredibly fucking painful.
Not just painful. Imagine the realization of knowing that your eyes have been removed from their sockets, and your child is in an unknown place. Like,
and you can't scream.
I can't even imagine like the horror of that, and it's portrayed so well in this scene. Like,
and then we get another cut, and I'd say it's 6 years later.
Another time jump. Yep.
Antonio's about 6, and we get Francesca taking a pail of water and a pail of grain and leaving it in the upper part of the barn. And Mom's still alive, of course. And she comes and she's eating like an animal would because she's losing her fucking mind. And imagine she's been up there for 5 or 6 years listening to an insane woman raising her kid.
You can assume that she's heard her son play outside,
laughing and playing with this insane woman.
Yeah, like this is a true horror film in the sense that it really gets under your skin.
It's so set in reality. That's what makes it
100% set in reality, and it's just awful.
Yeah,
and I love it.
Yeah,
it's done so well.
Yeah. like if you could honestly imagine listening to your child be raised by another, not only just by another person, but another person who is a fucking lunatic.
And she probably still remembers this woman's face like it
Oh,
was the
God,
back
yeah.
of her hand. She would never forget that.
It would be the last thing
So-
she saw.
Yeah.
And she, oh God, she
Oh.
can't have like anesthetic or anything. She must have done that to her while she was still awake.
Yeah. Or at least coming to, or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
Like, just terrible. And oh.
So we get another cut at this point to her and Antonio sleeping in bed together, Francesca and Antonio, and he hears, I guess, some very subtle, very quiet sounds coming from the barn. And he goes and opens the barn door and goes up to see what it is, because kids would do that, especially at that age.
And he was told not to as well. So.
Oh yeah, when Mom told him you can't go in the barn ever.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's the forbidden fruit. It's the West Wing.
His little boy brain immediately went, I bet you I could get away with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen to that. So he goes up there and she comes like launching herself out of a very dark corner in the barn.
Yeah, once again, hard shadow, bright light, beautifully shot. The way she comes out of the shadow into the light, creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
Because
she's gargling, right? She's trying. Yeah, she's gurgling, and it comes across very animalistic because she can't really.
That's the type of thing to give a 6-year-old nightmares.
It is, but she knows that is her son.
Oh like, God, yeah.
So they're like, oh.
So she's desperately trying to reach out to him.
Yeah.
But she scares him, obviously, and he runs.
Yeah.
Locks the barn and goes back into bed.
Can't blame him.
Chanting to himself, "It's only a dream. It's only a dream. It's only a dream."
Yeah.
And then we get another cut, and it's daytime, and he goes to Mom and he goes, "Who's that person in the barn?"
Oh.
And she goes, "I told you never, ever to go in the barn. Did you go in the barn?" And he just says again, who is that? And then we get another cut. And it's nighttime again, and they're asleep in bed. And he goes back out to the barn to investigate. And this time, Mom approaches him much more calmly. And you could see that she's obviously aware of herself. She's touching her eyes and she's fixing her hair, trying not to scare him and coming to him.
That broke my heart when she did that.
When she fixed her hair, yeah.
Her hair,
yeah.
So she didn't look as frightening. Like,
yeah.
Oh my goodness!
It makes me want to cry just thinking about it. Actually, it's pretty.
Well, it's all those little details that make this such a great movie. And
Yeah.
so fucking creepy too.
Yeah. So she's trying, like, she's got her hands splayed out in front of her because she can't see, but she's got them palm out so that, like,
it's a display of I'm not going to hurt.
Yeah, she's trying so hard not to scare him away because he's her ticket out, and she, like, he's the only other person she's heard in years.
Yeah, at least 6 or 8 years or whatever it's been.
And we get another little cut of him going back to the house, but he's left the barn door open. And then we get another cut, and we are back at the beginning of the movie, but this time we're looking at it from her perspective, and she's walking up that 2-lane road. And what I think she did was just walk in a straight line from the house or from the barn until she hit the pavement, and then picked the direction and started following it.
I think so, yeah, because you can.
You feel that.
Yeah, well, even the paint in the middle of a highway, it's raised. You can feel it. So that's probably what she was doing, and just because we get further context when the fella sounds his horn.
She collapsed.
She collapses, and like, because she knows that the guy's probably going to stop.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, like 90% of people, if you see somebody,
well, I would stop. That's for damn sure.
I think actually, I think anybody would stop. Honestly, if you saw somebody collapse in the middle of a road.
Yeah.
So he, anyways, we see him stop, and it's wee hours of the morning at this point, and then we get another cut, and it's back to Francesca and Antonio, and she looks out her. Is it framed in the window again? The open barn door.
I'm not sure. I
I
can't
remember. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she sees the barn door open, and she looks at Antonio and goes, "What did you do?"
Yeah.
And she goes out there, and she screams like. Well, it's a good shriek.
Yeah.
it's really bone chilling. And then from the barn, she sees the police show up, and she actually runs from the barn into the house while the police are in the driveway. So it's like it's happening all on top of each other.
It is. Yeah, it happens very, very quickly.
Yeah, it's all on top of each other. She runs in. She grabs a knife. She grabs Antonio, and she's talking to him, telling him, "Oh, I'm only doing it for you. Everything I do is for you.
You know I love you, right?
You know I love you." Yeah, and she goes upstairs, and I was expecting her to kill him and then herself before they managed to get up there, but the police get up there and shoot her, which I think.
Well, we hear a gunshot.
We hear a gunshot. Yeah.
It's safe to assume that they shot her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would hope that they shot her before she killed him. I hope so.
Yeah. I don't know.
Only hope, though.
I don't know if they shot her and killed her or
whatever.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they got up there and saw that she killed the little boy and then just shot her.
Yeah.
That's possible too. Because I mean, cops don't generally just go up and shoot a person.
Well, it depends. If they have a knife to a 6 or 8 year old.
Yeah, exactly.
And shoot the killer without even asking a question. So.
And if they saw what she did to the mother.
Yeah, exactly.
I assume the mother somehow communicated to him. I'm not exactly sure.
You know what? I was thinking about that, going, "Oh, how would she do that?" You know what?
Yeah.
She would have drawn.
Still right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but you can't see, so writing would have been quite hard. But
I still think she probably just told them somehow, like on this road, this address. Maybe she remembered an address.
Maybe
anything.
No, the truck driver. Maybe she just pointed the direction she'd come from.
Maybe
if there's no houses around for miles, it wouldn't be that hard to pick one out.
I guess if a woman
in the general area, right?
Her eyes cut out and her vocal cords cut, and she pointed to a particular house, you would know that. Oh wow, okay, so the person in that house did that to you. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, if you could, writing would be hard if you were trying to write on a small piece of paper, but you could scrawl on big pieces of paper, which I'm sure they would have given her a way to communicate with
yes. Them. Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah. And it could have been quite a long time before they woke up.
Yeah, right? Exactly. So, we don't know how long. So
yeah. But yeah, it's a bit of a downer ending.
Unless you assume the kid is alive.
That's what I thought. That even on first viewing, I thought.
Me too. But
they shot her before the kid died, and then. You know, he went through years of therapy and a lifetime of pain, and that's awesome.
And then he grew up to be a serial killer.
And then he grew up to be that creepy guy, and we started all over again.
Oh no.
Actually, if you think in terms, like, I didn't even come to realize that we didn't see anything until just now, because I assumed the kid lived through that too, but we don't know.
No, we don't know, but.
Well, like most of the violence, it's off screen. So
exactly.
I don't think it was even his intention. I can't speak for this guy, obviously, but I don't think it was his intention to even leave it up to interpretation. I just think it was kind of what it is, you know. I don't know if that makes sense. Kind of a non-ending, you know.
I have to say, probably the most famous movie with a sociopath in it is Silence of the Lambs.
Yes.
And I think that isn't anywhere near as effective as this movie.
It's so good. Oh my god! If you're gonna watch either one of them, watch that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Silence of the Lambs. Right? I think it's a good movie. But I can watch it 100 times and it doesn't really affect me. Right?
Yeah.
This one, it's so beautiful. I want to watch it, but
I mean, there are Silence of the Lambs, but yeah, it's
at the same time watching Eyes of My Mother. It's disturbing and depressing.
It really is.
It's yeah.
Imagine, like, when I picked it out, I don't remember what the synopsis for it was on Netflix, but I was not expecting that at all. It was
either. I was expecting something exploitive. I was expecting an exploitation movie in the worst sense.
Yeah.
Like
I
like exploitation movies. I
don't really know what I was
like gore
expecting.
for the sake of gore. I like those things, but
I was thinking maybe like a serial killer, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre-esque, something like that.
Yeah.
Isolated farmhouse in the middle of nowhere, because I can't, like I said, I can't remember what the synopsis for it was, but it was the little mini trailer that they show on Netflix was enough to make me want to watch it. You weren't overly impressed with it, but was like, yeah, I want to watch that.
No, I wasn't, but it you know, from a critical standpoint, I would say The Eyes of My Mother is one of those films that actually approaches being perfect.
It is almost flawless.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Aside from a couple of the lighting issues in certain shots, it's
little minor things.
Yeah, like so minor. I would say that this film, in terms of, I mean, I don't know the director's intentions because there's no information on this dude.
There's not a bad actor.
No, there really isn't.
I was never bored.
I wasn't bored. I was enamored. So from a shallow critical point of view, I would say that this film is essentially perfect. And it's really weird to say that about most films.
You'd have to be really nitpicky to find faults with this.
Absolutely.
I went into it knowing absolutely nothing about it too, by the way. I didn't know.
That must have shocked the hell out of you then.
Yeah, like so I had no idea what was going to happen. I didn't even see the trailer, so
you were even more blind than I was.
Like when there was the time jump with the young girl, growing up, and I didn't see that coming because I had no idea. I thought it was going to be the rest of the movie was going to be the young girl and the father. And,
right. Yeah.
Then early on, it does the time jump. So yeah, I didn't see any of it coming, really. It was totally blind. It was an interesting experience.
Yeah, that's a way to describe it.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable, but really good. So good. If you want something to actually frighten you, I think this is
I mean,
up there.
This is going to get both of you, but not since the original Halloween would I say that there is a film that I actually wouldn't change at all.
That's fine. You can have your.
What about Dude, Where's My Car? Or whatever.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. That film,
I can't remember what that was called. That was so fucking bad.
Dude, Where's My Car is hilarious. What is wrong with you?
It's terrible.
Oh God, no, come on. That movie's hilarious. It has a giant alien woman with laser tits at the end. How could you hate that movie?
I really was just trying to get a rise out of you, but no, I truly do believe this film is like it's almost critically perfect to me. I don't know if that maybe I'm just being overly positive about it.
If this is this guy's only movie,
It is.
this his first go. Fucking, I cannot wait for the next thing he directs because holy shit.
Well, I hope there is a next thing. Like,
me too, because Jesus, it is so well done.
Even if the next thing is disappointing as fuck, it doesn't matter. It's
such a mind fuck. This movie is such a mind fuck. It's so like if you watched it without watching this first, I hope because we've completely ruined it.
So, does anyone know the budget or if it made?
No, my gosh, I have not. I know what it made. It made $27,539 in cinema, like in theaters. But I don't know the budget, and I've looked.
Did you say 27,000?
Yeah,
27,000. Yes.
Wait, no. Worldwide box office 30,600.
Oh gosh. Okay, I was 3,000 off.
Yeah.
But no, I can't find anything on budget or anything.
So I'm guessing it only was at like film festivals.
Well, yeah, absolutely. It says Sundance Film Festival, which is pretty normal for films of this nature, but still, it's normal to hear things about it after the fact. But this has had no media attention, no praise after the fact.
So disappointing.
It is. It's again like it. I'm probably just being overly positive at this point, but it seems like a critically perfect movie.
I agree.
It's so fucking good. It's almost unbelievable.
It made 73,000 in video sales between DVD and Blu-ray sales.
This is good. This is a good thing, I'd say. Yeah. That's an aftermarket thing, which is a good thing. It's just it's so incredibly good. It's mind-boggling to me that it.
So it made $100,000 all up.
Yeah.
But what was its budget? I assume
I have no idea. I mean.
Yeah, I'm actually looking where they have all the breakdown of its earnings, and there's nothing about budget at all. It actually says if you would like to know the budget, please email an inquiry.
You know what? I think I might actually do that.
I'd be really interested.
Yeah, I might actually.
It'd be good if we can get the director on. I mean,
Well, it could happen. I mean, my God, I can't praise the film enough. I mean, I know we joke around a lot here, but like, my goodness. I know. I can't praise the film enough, and I am so happy I bought it at full price on Blu-ray, and actually got to experience it a few times now, or 2 times, I guess. Hopefully not again for a long time. That's not a knock against the movie at all.
Actually, I think that's a little bit of praise for it. It's so
well, exactly, because it's had that effect on you, and I feel the same way. I mean, if it was just a generic horror movie or whatever, I could watch it again next week and it wouldn't affect me. But
it is a horror movie. I mean,
but it's not a generic horror movie. The point is, it's so disturbing that it's hard to watch it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But that means it's effective.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's horrifying. It is actually horrifying. And oh, yeah, I'm actually speechless.
But it's the combination of all the things. It's the good acting, especially by the main character. I think she pulls it off perfectly.
Oh, I found a budget on ibtimes.com.
Oh, okay.
It says was made on a budget of $250,000.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
My goodness. That is exemplary. That is amazing.
I'll put it in the side chat if you want to look at it, and I'll toss it in the regular chat too if anybody's interested.
The only thing I know, well, thank you for finding that. I know that like he was very young when he directed this too. I think he was in his mid-20s. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, he's still technically in his mid-20s. This was only filmed 2.5 years ago. So
I'm really eager to see if he does more, and if because it's phenomenal. It's actually really disappointing that it's not more well known, because it's just so good.
yeah, it premiered in theaters on film festival theaters on December 2nd, 2016. So just over 2 years ago, it premiered, and yeah, it is sad. So it's definitely something I'd like to get out there in terms of,
because if that
coverage.
budget is accurate, it means it lost a good chunk of money.
Oh, it lost a lot of money,
which is sad.
Well, that doesn't matter to some people. Some investors really don't care about that in the short term. So,
by the way, we're not being paid to praise this movie. I just thought I'd put that out there.
No, we're not. We're not. I can't.
I wish we were getting paid, but no.
Yeah,
I don't think they could afford to. So.
Oh yeah, no, we cost a lot of money.
Oh no, I mean with the budget, clearly.
Yeah.
They lost like 150,000. If those figures are correct.
If somebody could get a hold of him, I would love to pick his brain about this and see if he's doing anything else, because it's just so well done.
Well, I can try. So
go for it.
But it'd be interesting to find out a lot of things, like where did he get the budget from? Is it like a Kevin Smith thing where? I think he sold his car and maxed out credit cards and did everything to make Clerks.
But even if not, even if he just got $250,000 from some movie studio, that's also interesting, because what he did with that really small amount of money is insane. It's amazing. So
yeah, considering like $1 million for a movie is considered low budget these days.
Very, very low budget. Yeah.
Actually, I found the synopsis here. It's a young, lonely woman is consumed by her deepest and darkest desires after tragedy strikes her quiet country life.
Yeah, that really sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah. It makes the movie sound like sort of lackluster, like any other.
It sounds trivial,
right?
It sounds trivial and
like a soft drama or something.
Yeah, it's yeah. But watch it, because it's definitely underrated, underviewed.
All right, let's rewrite the synopsis. How would you describe it? I'd probably start with something like, one of the most disturbing movies you'll ever see.
That's not a synopsis, though.
You'll love it from beginning to end, but probably never want to watch it again. It's so disturbing.
Yeah.
So basically, what you're saying is you should watch it back to back with the reflecting skin, and you'll feel amazing after.
You're gonna want to kill yourself.
I think this was much more effective than the reflecting skin.
Oh,
so
I agree.
I'm
and I did say the reflecting skin would probably be more effective if it was in black and white.
No. I'm being silly. I
know. But I think one of the things that really makes this movie, and there's lots of elements, but one of them is the black and white element. And I said this with the reflecting skin. Black and white can really bring out.
It can. So can overuse of color. You mentioned that the director, and you're right, of the reflecting skin, he demanded that the cornfields or wheat fields be painted orange or whatever.
Yeah. And the color in that was disturbing.
Oh, it was very striking. I thought the movie was very, very visually striking. But from a critical standpoint, after the fact, if it was black and white, it could have hit so much harder, in my opinion.
I agree. 100%.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're both wrong. But I just think that black and white, if done properly, is just, in a lot of ways, just far superior to a color film.
It can be.
But that being said, if every film was black and white and filmed beautifully in black and white, I'd be bored.
Yeah, it wouldn't
Yeah. That's true. But this type of movie, black and white, suits perfectly. If this movie was made in color, it would still be good. Like the acting would still be good,
Oh,
story
yeah.
would still be good. It still would be, well directed and edited,
Hmm.
but it wouldn't have that same visual feel to it.
No, exactly. Like the scene you were mentioning with the literal window framing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been brilliant. It would have looked beautiful, I think.
He would not have stood out as much.
No,
Neither of them would have.
in our mind's eye, even in the back of our, in our imagination, the back of our minds while we're watching a movie is just as important as what we're seeing and what we're thinking, in the forefront.
But high contrast really strips the visuals down to the basics.
Yeah, it does. It really does. And like you had mentioned, when she walks out to greet him with the knife,
Mm.
she's wearing a white dress.
Yeah.
And he's naked, except for his underwear.
Yeah, well,
So his
you know what?
pale ass skin is just as contrasted as her white dress.
it is in that contrast, and it's purposeful, and
Yeah.
it serves a purpose. But I think the viewer kind of looks past that while they're watching it. I think it's more of a subconscious thing. When black and white is done right, it's a subconscious thing.
But if you think about that scene, if they had been in color,
Well, I think it still would have been striking. I still would have thought, my goodness, what an amazing scene! They shot that.
it wouldn't have been as dark. Even at night, it wouldn't have been as dark.
I-
You would have still seen him walking through the gray or sorry, the green or brown grass. Like he would have been able to pick out other things, but because it was black and white, really all you saw was his body and her body.
Absolutely.
It
But I
strips
think
it down to the basics.
Yeah.
the scene itself, just as an engineered scene in a film, I think would have been really striking in a color film, but not like that. It was engineered to be just so in black and white.
Yeah.
So.
And also with the mother in the barn when she comes out of the shadow towards the child.
Very frightening.
You would see her. If it was color, you would have seen her in the corner. There would have been no real way of hiding her.
Yeah, it was
black and white. It was black where she.
And I mean, let's face it, we can suspend disbelief, but when you're viewing the film, I mean, that was frightening.
Mm-hmm.
It was shocking, even for a split second. I mean, we're used to.
No, she's harmless too. We as the audience knew she was harmless, but it's still really creepy.
Well,
I think we put ourselves in the shoes of the child. So
yes,
for that
second,
yeah, it's very effective in doing that because we sort of go with him from bed out into the barn, and we witness him witnessing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from his perspective, it would have been terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, objectively so. Yeah.
So
I guess we'd recommend it.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Very, very highly.
Honestly, though,
No, not at all. It's shit.
If you're a thrill hound and the only reason you watch horror movies is to be made uncomfortable or scared and disturbed, I would highly recommend this one.
Yeah.
If that's all you're after, that this will be one of those. It's good for that.
I can't recommend it enough. I don't know if you'll want to watch it a second time, but you need to watch it at least once. It's so beautiful. The story's so great. It's so amazingly made. The vision of the director is so beautifully done, so artistic. You need to watch it, especially if you're a fan of horror or something which is disturbing, because you will be disturbed.
Yeah.
Bane's gonna come to your house and make you watch it.
And
you just may never want to watch it again.
And it is a horror film through and through, and it's done in such a way that it's like you're seeing the script.
Yeah.
Right off of the page.
Yeah.
Just hit you right in the face.
Yeah.
It's just
It's stunning. It's art. It is
yeah. I
art.
mean, I sound ridiculous when I say it. It to me, I
All,
sound ridiculous.
all three of us are like bowing down.
Yeah,
I think for the last half hour, all we're being saying is it's stunning. It's stunning.
well, it is. Yeah, that's
It's
fine.
beautiful. It's so uncomfortable.
It is.
So beautiful.
So yes, we all agree. You
Yeah.
should go watch it and put it away and never watch it again.
Yeah, well, preferably, yeah, because you'll never be the same after. So yeah, just
I'm pretty sure you've actually noticed I've been going out of my way to pick like newer horror films because I'm so sick and tired of people that say the horror genre is dead. And meanwhile, there's stuff like this that came out just 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's incredible, and nobody's fucking watching it.
You know what? That drives me nuts too. Horror is dead. We hear come out of most people's mouths, and there's stuff like Darling and The Eyes of My Mother and Hereditary, and
Yeah, but it's because we get big mainstream things like fucking Winchester.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Everybody
Awful fucking movie.
yeah,
paying way too much attention to the big budget mainstream stuff. You get sort of you get distracted. There's too much static. And I keep recommending to people, if you don't know where to look for all these low budget horror films, you need a subscription to Rue Morgue.
again, we're not being paid, but
No, but I mean, I'm just saying, if you have troubles finding this stuff, because I used to have troubles finding this stuff, definitely get a subscription to Rue Morgue or sign up for something like Shudder.
Shudder.
Go and look at Shudder and don't.
Shudder. It's a subscription streaming service like Netflix, but they deal in horror films.
Exclusively horror films. But again, also with Netflix, if you have Netflix and you don't want another streaming site, go and look at the entire horror tab in Netflix. Like, go and look at the whole genre, because that's where we found both of these movies. It's where we discovered Train to Busan. It's where we watched The Wailing. All of this we found on Netflix, and they're fabulous. And there's so much good horror on Netflix. You just have to know where to look for it.
Yeah, and when it comes to horror, now from about 2014 onwards, we are in another essentially golden age of horror films. Not since the 70s has horror been so good, and treated with such respect as it is now. There are so many amazing horror films.
Have you guys seen The Apostle?
No.
I have not, but I want to.
It's good. It's good. I watched it.
Yeah, I've heard. I want to see that quite bad. Yeah.
I've been going out of my way to try to pick some new horror. So actually, my next one's one that you overlooked for a long time. The Others, and then The Last Will and Testament of Rosalind Lee, but that's not coming for a while. That's
The Last Will and Testament of Rosalind Lee. I'm actually I know the director personally of that film.
Yeah, so that's coming in probably a couple of months now, but that's another newer horror film, 2013. It's fabulous. It's fabulous.
Yeah, I would have thought I would have picked that one, considering the the pedigree. But no, I
just want to rub your nose in the fact that you snobbed The Others for so long.
The Others as a horror film is amazing.
I don't know, Bane, have you seen it before?
The Others, yeah.
Yeah. Is that one that you think could have benefited more from black and white?
I can't remember. I need to see it again. That's a remake, though, isn't it?
The Others
isn't.
It is not. Overall,
am I thinking of the right one? With
I don't think so.
Reese Witherspoon.
No, Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman. Sorry, I get those.
Yeah. It is the one I'm thinking of. I'm sure it's a remake.
It is not. It is similar to a film called Don't Open the Door, and there's elements of The Haunting in there. And
It's
Okay.
it's a mismatch of a lot of things, but it's
Yeah.
it's everything its own.
It is a 2001 horror film, and people keep trying to pass it off as, oh, it's a drama.
No.
It's a drama.
No, it's
It is.
a horror film.
It is a horror film, straight up. It's no different than the 30s and 40s and 50s haunted house horror films.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a bloody haunted house. You doesn't get much more horror than that.
Yeah.
It's almost like people hear horror and they think gore immediately.
Yeah.
Which is not the case. Anyways, next episode is a themed episode, which is Cthulhu.
Ooh.
Cthulhu inspired.
Cthulhu inspired. So,
Yeah. It doesn't have to have Cthulhu in the film or even a monster in the film.
Doesn't have to be based on a Lovecraft story, but
absolutely not.
Has to be inspired by Cthulhu myth.
Yes.
So
what and I almost picked In the Mouth of Madness.
I like that film a lot.
It's a great movie. But instead I picked From Beyond.
I like that film as well. That is an Italian giallo film. I talk about giallo all the time on this damn show.
And Master Non, you've actually picked a newer horror film.
I picked a newer film, 2017's The Void, from directed by Steven Kostanski. He is a 1/5 of Astron 6. Astron 6 is a collective of 5 Canadian filmmakers. Yes, 5, not 6. They're stupid like that. I also know them personally, so I'm almost hoping to have them on the show at one point.
That would be fun. I like it. Well, I like Manborg.
Yeah. Well, Manborg is the shit. So yeah.
And then I picked The Mist because I think it's the only movie I've seen that would even remotely fall in.
The Mist is definitely Cthulhu-esque. Absolutely, for sure. I know that I haven't read most of The Dark Tower, and you haven't read any of it.
Yeah.
Missing on, but The Mist is directly tied to the Dark Tower series in the Stephen King mythos, which is directly tied to the Cthulhu.
All these stories are.
That's true.
All of these stories are.
That's very true, Bane. But if you like
I really want to watch that movie again. It was such an so good.
You know, The Mist was a really, really, really good adaptation of a Stephen King short story. I really enjoyed it. So good choice.
I was going to say about The Void. I remember I watched that on a Saturday, and the reason why I remember that is because after I watched it, coincidentally, I jumped onto Skype and recommended it to a non. So I just watched it. It's an amazing movie called The Void.
Nice. I'm going to try. I'm actually going to try very, very hard. No promises, but I'm going to try to get Steven Kostanski on here for the next one. So
that'll be fun. All right, so we will see everybody in a couple of weeks. Should be the 25th, 26th.
Yeah, maybe even with 4 of us instead of 3. We shall see.
Ooh. That'd be good.
All right, so we recommend them both.
Yes, and especially Eyes of My Mother. I think that should be a cult classic.
Yeah.
It should be. It should have garnered far more praise than it has already. So yeah, please, folks, if you've got Netflix, give it a watch. It's amazing.
Buy it for your grandmother.
We'll get it one viewer at a time. One viewer at a time. We will make this movie famous.
Yeah. Oh, we've got 2. Oh, all right.
All righty. So good night, everybody.
Bye.
Good night.